Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on a Friday, the final day in the week. And of course, it's the first week in the month, most importantly, the month of July.
Yeah,
and I mean, the year is fast running. A lot of things are happening in between. But then again, our job here is to ensure that we bring to you the latest stories, take you into every single part of the stories. Not just that, but dissect, bring out the key necessities, all the points that you need to know, and of course, bring the biggest names to actually speak on these stories, not just speak, but find solutions if possible. I'm Joe Hansen saying good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central.
And I'm Benga Borough. On behalf of Olive Amodi and I, we welcome you to Breakfast Central this Friday morning. Olive is somewhere in the background making sure we have a bumper show. She also doubles sometimes as an executive producer. You know, those things you don't see on the set. She's putting finishing touches just because we always give you the best way to start your day right.
Benga, are you a politician?
No, but she does.
Okay.
She does. She's a nice person. I don't like saying bad things about people behind them.
Okay.
It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. So many things to talk about yesterday. I remember Joe was itching for a reaction from APC that they're not going to say something about this coalition. As at the time we spoke, it was only Festus Keyamo that had reacted. But now you have a flurry of reaction, as they will say on the street, reaction choke. Yeah, choke. So
choke, meaning that
we will be analyzing
it's
some of those reactions, and we have quite a lot in store for you today.
Absolutely.
So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and welcome.
That's right. So much. Anyway, let's start off with the reactions. I think we should go straight into it because it's one of the biggest stories from the political space, whether you like it or not. Like we said yesterday, you cannot go to sleep without having to talk about what's coming out from the political space in Nigeria. It's just barely 2 years plus of the current APC administration, and then they are already counting down to 2027. However, there were talks concerning who can unseat the ruling party. But nobody did see a formidable team. Reasons? We have never seen a situation like this before in Nigeria, although, yes, we may have a few years past where prior to the elections, you'd have all political parties having internal crises and fracas, and, you know, going back and forth within themselves. It kind of like seems like what many have said, that it's basically like there's a mole that has been put inside all the parties to disrupt, ensure that they're disgruntled, and then nobody accepts what the basic party ideologies are. But then again, the shocker did come on Tuesday, and aside from that, prior to that, we did see the PDP try to put its house together, but it was back and forth, neither here nor there, until they decided to have their first meeting. And then they came out with this bragging rights to say, listen, we are still the party. But we thought that was all until we saw the launch of what happened 2 days back. But let's tell you quickly that the FCT minister yesterday did have a media chat.
Yeah, we covered that live.
Yes. We did have our very own Felicity Wike who was there, and then also asked some of the very vital questions alongside other respected journalists too. But as usual, the FCT minister used the platform and the medium, like he would always do, to address the nation and key issues in the polity as well. One of the things he talked about was that when he was asked, he spoke about the APC.
Coalition. He spoke about his former boss, the former governor, Rotimi Amechi. He had a lot to say about him, how he defeated him politically. And he said these are disgruntled Nigerians that they want power for the sake of power. And they should check their track record as executives, as people in high positions in government. What did they do? So it goes beyond, he said, it's more than just wanting power and just assembling together, that they should not, that Nigerians should ask them questions and scrutinize them. I think it was, it was on the right path.
I agree. One of the things he highlighted in the whole conversation was that when he was asked about the coalition, you highlighted the key mentions or statements he made. He did say, check the track record. Secondly, he's also one of those who feel that this is a coalition of aggrieved former party members and friends of the current ruling party and the president. He did mention, let's not forget that it was former River State Governor Rotimi Amechi that also joined forces in forming the APC. And it pretty much seems like when things were not going his way, he doesn't have anything to offer, according to the statements being made. I mean, that's why he became a and then he had to move. So, if we look at the FCT minister's statement, one would ordinarily wonder that, okay, what is he driving at? But that's not all. We did have a guest join us here yesterday. His name is Chief Dele Momodu. If you've been following closely, he never denies the fact that he's a publisher. He's been doing publishing from time immemorial. And he's never denied the fact that he was also part of the persons who fought for democracy one way or the other, because he had his hands equally involved by ensuring that... Struggle, exactly. But the FCT minister yesterday pulled a string, and it was one that I couldn't help but, laugh at. And when I say laugh, I don't mean laugh in a comedy sense, but laugh in the sense that politicians will never cease to amaze you, Benga. While he was asked a few questions, and then he said, who is that? Who is that person? The FCT minister said, who is that person? And he said, you remember Dele we say, that's publisher? Oh, I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't know him.
I remember that. I remember that.
And when he said, while he said that, what came after that was Chief Dele Momodu responding by putting a picture of both of them on his social media page, where they both sat down and they were giggling or laughing at something. And he said, I mean, take a look at this. He also threw his own jab at the FCT minister, speaking tough about him, not, what he said,
I mean, he's standing behind the president, that without the president, he will not be that powerful.
Anyway, so far so good. The FCT minister has dismissed concerns about the coalition, not just him, the SA to the president, that's a special advisor to the president, has also spoken. Now, he spoke yesterday as soon as we were wrapping up the show. He said, listen, that Nigerians should not worry. In other words, there's no sense of worry about the coalition.
He feels it's not a big deal.
I'm talking about Mr. Bayo Onanuga. Yeah, he did put out a message yesterday, just right before we finished the show, and he did a long list of write-up, just telling Nigerians, basically, you know what, don't mind these people who have come together. Let's just focus and let's move on. But that's it. So the FCT minister has spoken. The presidency has also reacted to the coalition, and we've seen a lot that's going to happen in between. But that's our first story on Wake Up Conversations this morning. Olive joins us again. They said you were behind the scenes, and
Olive, thank you for the great work.
Technical work. I did see her on the pole. She tried, because the rain was, so you had to ensure.
You see me on the pole, that can be misconstrued.
That you had to.
I was not on the pole.
Network.
No, I'm not an engineer, but I'm very.
But Benga said you do different things.
I do different things from the production aspect, is what you meant to say. Not
because remember yesterday, you can't be a broadcaster and you don't know how to fix.
No. There are different aspects of broadcasting. We are not all broadcast engineers. Call the engineers, let them come
exactly.
and present.
Thank you so much. My Leonard,
call somebody like Tunde Raji, let him come and present.
Like who?
Tunde Raji.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Good to have you guys. I can see that the conversations have started. We started off with the Minister of the FCT dismissing the coalition, saying it is a coalition of let me get the exact word, of failed politicians. He took this at a lot of them.
A lot of people. They were just collecting.
Everybody collects. Let me read a few of them. He said, no. I heard David Mark say that they want to rescue Nigeria, that Nigerians are not happy. But the man was Senate president for 8 years and Nigerians were happy. There was no single project in Otukpo, not one. He was flying helicopter to Otukpo. Nigerians were not angry then, but they are angry now. He moved on from... he even said that David Mark, as the leader of the PDP, did not win his election, but that his daughter, who was running under the APC, won the House of Representatives. He now went to Amechi. He said Amechi was minister. He took Chinese loans and made Nigeria so indebted to China. So Nigerians were happy then, he asked. Why, when you were in power, Nigerians were happy, but the moment you are no longer in power, Nigerians are not happy. he asked a very valid question about Nigeria Air with Hadi Sirika. I said, I saw Hadi Sirika. What happened to Nigeria Air? Which is a very valid question.
Mr. Wike just made Bayo Onanuga's work easier yesterday. He did his work for him. Yeah. And if you're factually speaking, I mean, he's not far from the truth.
There's a lot. If I'm going to go back to Bayo Onanuga's tweet, we do not have it there on the screen yet, but Bayo Onanuga said some members of the hijacked ADC, he called it the hijacked ADC, who were reported as members of the APC, left the APC years and months ago. Let the public not be deceived by the opposition's narrative about the irrelevance or whether the APC will mourn their departure. And then he went on to break down. He said Rotimi Amaechi so left the APC in 2022 after losing the presidential primary to President Tinubu. Done. Boubacar Malami, the former Attorney General, has never hidden his estrangement from the APC since Tinubu assumed leadership and since he lost the governorship bid in Kebbi. And then he went ahead to mention Hadi Sirika, now in the ADC.
He broke it down.
Is facing trial for contract splitting and other allegations. The renegade, he called him renegade, Rauf Aregbesola, committed anti-party activities in the last interim official election and was expelled as an unfit APC member. Then he goes ahead to mention others. And then lastly, just to wrap things up from the special advisor to the president, he says, my advice to Nigerians, keep your eyes wide open. A political party with no clear agenda or ideology, whose members are united only by their hatred for President Tinubu, cannot be good for our country. It will only set us back by decades.
So Nigerians should keep their eyes open, look at scrutinize the coalition, and at the same time, while their eyes is open, also beam their searchlight on the ruling party and ensure that they deliver on their promises. Yeah, so I guess what is good for the goose is good for the gander. In the words of Orisha Femi, one of the nicest poets I've ever come across in Nigeria, he said, what is good for the goose is good for the ganga.
But I think what this thing points or reminds us is the fact that when you look at Nigerian politicians, it's almost impossible to see one that is spotless. Of course, we're not asking for a saint, but it's almost like you can hang one thing or the other on them during their time in office. That is the one thing that is very...
You know, the one that shocks me the most is Hadi Sirika.
Of the Nigeria
Let's go to another one.
Hadi Sirika is the one that shocks me the most.
Why is he shocking you?
He's a free man. If he had committed a crime, the EFCC would arrest him.
So the question
and he will
now
face trial. So I think that shock should go to the authorities for enabling impunity. Because, I mean, left to him, he'll say, look, I have no case to answer. If I was wanted, I wouldn't be free, a free man today, if I had questions to answer. So you should go back to the authorities.
Okay, let's move on. Still looking at politicians. This time around, it is a political aide, Tumbo Sun Awe. He's a political aide to the senator representing Ondo North Senatorial District, Ondo State, Olajide Ipinsagba. He has resigned, citing the payment of a 20,000 naira salary.
That's below the minimum wage.
No. You can't call that one below the minimum wage. Below the minimum wage would be like maybe 50, 55.
This is what you call below the skyline.
This one, the salary is looking for oil. Because, first of all...
But you have a nice title. Aide to senator.
As per packaging now?
Yes, no.
Why?
Executive
aide. So if you look through the story or him detailing what had happened, he said he was appointed ward liaison officer for, a region in the East Local Government area. He described the monthly remuneration, of course, as a far cry from the minimum wage. He then goes back to tell us how destiny brought them together in 2006 when his senatorial bid was birthed with the caption Concept 2007, that he served as the secretary of the campaign structure in Ondo North Senatorial District. He now said he highlighted that his long-standing relationship with the lawmaker, tracing back to 2006, after serving as secretary, he recalls serving as a personal assistant when this senator held a government position under the late Governor Olusegun Agagu. He expressed dismay at the stagnation in his earnings despite the rising cost of living. So my question is, if you started working with him in 2006, and this is 2025, make it make sense. How is he earning 20,000 naira in 2025?
Even you as an individual, how do you stay with such a person?
You don't really like yourself. I think that's part of what it is.
But again, let's come back to the person, the senator in question. I mean, it's just commonsensical. How do you, somebody that's been with you all this while, how do you feel given you count 30 days and then you hand over 20,000?
I don't even pay my personal assistant that.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It's really ridiculous because the truth is, when it comes to conversations about salaries and remuneration, while we're arguing for the payment of minimum wage, sometimes it's the people in power, people that have influence and authority, that are the biggest abusers of this. I think at the very least, even if you don't want to pay enough, just let them know that, okay, you know what, let me pay the minimum wage and have this person, except you are...
No,
I don't know.
I find it very hard to believe because, honestly...
20,000 naira.
There must be something going on
So,
somewhere.
exactly, it sounds very shady, except maybe the senator is not the one in charge. Of course, he's not the one in charge of payment of salary.
But he has access
and
to the senator. He can't voice his...
So that was part of the issue, that he was finding it difficult. I saw that somewhere. He was finding it difficult to, get access to the senator. Yeah, that was part of the issue. You see, he lamented his efforts to seek a salary review were unsuccessful despite several appeals to the senator and efforts to seek audience with the lawmaker. So there may have been a challenge there with seeking audience with him. But regardless of how we put it, it's not a good look. It's it's a very terrible thing to say. 20,000 naira is very unbecoming of... Imagine telling people, what do you do?
Survive?
You now brand yourself on LinkedIn, personal aid to so and so and so, package it. You know, LinkedIn knows how to make like 5 naira popcorn look like 1,000 naira. So you package it well and people will think, man, you are at the seat of power. You are enjoying money. You're not enjoying suffering. And you're
20,000. But even how prudent can you be to manage 20,000?
There's no way. There's no way.
Are you not going to transport yourself? Will you not
except
eat?
maybe they want
We need
to
a drawing board for this.
We do.
20,
except maybe they want to say...
maybe he wants to say ask the experts in
maybe the 20,000. How can we logicalize 20,000?
How can you do what?
Logicalize 20,000. Can we say...
For a month?
Yeah.
Just go and sleep in your house.
No, so maybe he's not going to work every day. Maybe he's working from home and all he does for him is, I'll show up once in a month.
Well, there are two sides to this story from my end.
The senator side.
One, there are people who naturally are leeches. They would, because they know you as my uncle, and therefore the uncle is now the governor or has a seat in power, they will follow the uncle anywhere he goes to. Follow, and then they will tag along. They will do jobs for the uncle, the relative or the brother. They will run errands. They will buy their mala. They will join the campaign. They will go and print. They will do everything.
So you're thinking he's not an official employee of the senator?
That is one.
It would be nice to see his employment letter. Exactly.
That is one. Now, there are other instances where while in the process of doing that, he may have had an opportunity to meet with, in quotes, the politician who may be related or may have been a family friend or so on. I'm just looking at all aspects because I've seen it before. And then in the process, the person will say, Joe, let me see how I can, please consider me. I'll say, okay, call so person, follow him, just support him as an assistant. So indirectly, I'm supporting somebody, an aide who works closely to the politician.
Yeah.
Invariably, I feel, okay, that means I too am an aide to the what? To the governor.
Aide of aid.
Exactly, aide of aid. That's one aspect. And in the process, when you are at that level, you don't expect to call on the politician and just see him at any time and say, hey, I want to see you. Remember, he hasn't. So I think that's one. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking, because when you are at that level, then the politician doesn't owe you. He feels he feels he's doing you a favor.
Yeah, they just
to have you around.
Just take something and to support.
And then he feels that there's also this story that if you are closer, of course, you know those who are very those close to the president now, they may not be appointed or employed directly by the presidency. But because they are close to the president's son, and they work with the president's son, and they stroll into Aso Rock whenever the son says, let's go. So they might decide to give themselves. Have you not seen?
People make complimentary cards.
Exactly. Have you not seen them? When I was growing up in Surulere, I mean, in Surulere, they have cards. They have complimentary cards.
So that means someone like
they'll tell you. They'll do
complimentary
cards. Friend of the first son.
Exactly. They have cards. They'll tell you, oh, hi, my name is Benga, or my name is Joe.
Use Joe.
Okay,
yes,
okay. Let me use somebody else. My name is Andrew. And they say, okay, how are you? And they're well dressed. They're always well dressed, you know. And then they just give you their card and say, and on the card you see Office of the Presidency. And what do? They tell you they can get you in if you want to have an interview with the president.
Mean it.
They want to meet with the chief of staff. If you have contracts, so they are called AKA bookers. They would, oh, don't worry, they arrange. And what they do is, I mean, I know a story. I have a story, but let's neglect that. And at the end of the day, something has to give. So that they will be able to say, okay, fine, don't worry, but you need to pay some consultation fee. You know? Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You know the funny thing?
I'm really living under the rock.
You know the funny thing? This same thing is also done abroad. It's also done in America.
They call it lobbying.
Yes, that's what they call it. They just go around, they're well dressed, as long as they have access.
I know of lobbying unofficially, but the idea that people would even go as far as printing a complimentary card
and part of it.
Oh yes, they do that. So in this case, I'm looking at this case looking similar.
I gravitate more towards Joe's line.
So because 20,000 is
ridiculous.
Who would do that?
Even the most menial job, you can't pay people 20,000. People that do day jobs at construction sites, if you have to put their salary in a monthly band, is more than 20,000. 20,000.
Of course. So I'm thinking that
because of that,
I would going on. I may be wrong, but we'll wait for the politician to equally speak out. I think that's what it's looking like. By the way.
Okay. Let's go to something that some other people, a category, have called shocking, ridiculous.
And I can't wait for Monday to do a Which Way Nigeria on this.
Right.
Yes,
all right.
When I saw the circular, it was heartbreaking. They say charity. You know, charity, not charity bus stop in Oshodi, but the real charity begins at home. And this story just shows how we are just paying lip service to the concerns of the Nigerian Medical Association and all the health workers, because the federal government, we have a death of medical practitioners. We're complaining about brain drain, we're complaining about working conditions, and in all of this, the federal government deems it fit, after the government had already, I don't know what is it with St. Lucia, a population of 200,000, and the government just bending backwards to make them so happy. The government had already offered St. Lucia students a scholarship to any Nigerian university of their choice. And now, it didn't stop there. The government is saying they are going to deploy medical workers to St. Lucia in New Deal. Please help us make sense of this.
So let's tell you what it is. It is a technical manpower assistance agreement with the government of St. Lucia that is paving the way for the deployment of skilled Nigerian professionals to the Caribbean nation as part of efforts to deepen South-South cooperation and reconnect with the African diaspora. All right. So there are a certain number of people who are going, you know, they're going to be leaving the country to go and work as doctors in St. Lucia. But first of all, there was a circular that was going around. I don't know if we have a copy of the circular.
Yeah, from the Nigerian Medical Association.
Yes, we can put it up. If we don't, I'm just going to explain.
That's it on the screen.
All right, it's a press release from Nigerian Medical Association that was released on the 3rd of July, 2025.
Yeah, and the header says exporting they use doctors while undermining the welfare at home is inexcusable. NMA reacts to President Tinubu's agreement to send Nigerian doctors to St. Lucia. The Nigerian Medical Association expresses deep concern and dismay at the federal government's recent agreement to deploy Nigerian doctors and other healthcare professionals to St. Lucia. This announcement comes at a time when Nigerian doctors are grappling with systemic neglect, poor salaries, withheld allowances, and the release of a controversial salary circular that undermines their welfare and professional dignity. They went ahead to say that they want to remind the federal government that Nigerian doctors have been suffering, working and serving Nigerians, with many doctors leaving, of course, the country due to poor remuneration, chronic delays in payment of medical residency training fund, non-implementation of previously negotiated welfare packages and agreements, hazardous working conditions without commensurate risk allowances, lack of universal implementation of the CONMES salary structure of many of the doctors. Only yesterday, on July 2, 2025, the NMA issued a press release demanding that the government address its grievances within a 21-day window. The NMA requests that the government withdraw and replace the misleading NSIWC circular, honor all outstanding collective bargaining agreements, resolve outstanding allowances and correct distortions in the pay structure, and protect the professional autonomy and dignity of Nigerian doctors. Bottom line, they went ahead. If you go further down, you see comparison
that's a very important part. So let's scroll down to the
paid doctors,
comparison of salaries. Exactly.
Per annum in
so it's not like it's everybody. So look at the salary paid in St. Lucia by St. Lucian government. 131.7 million naira
per annum.
7 million per annum, right? Of course, and I'm guessing that we're doing it based on our naira equivalent so that we can see. So it's 131.7 million naira per annum. Then salary to be paid by Nigerian government to Nigerian doctors to serve in St. Lucia, 40.8 million naira per annum. Whereas the highest salary paid by the Nigerian federal government to employed doctors, 11.9 million naira per annum. Signed by Dr. Benjamin Ebu, Secretary General of the Nigerian Medical Association. So, on the face of it, some people would think, oh, it's a great idea because a number of these doctors were going to leave anyway. So it's a great idea to get them settled in another country. They will probably scramble for it and japa. But if we're being honest with ourselves, this is very unfair to Nigerian doctors. Every other day, we're seeing the resident doctors doing protests. We're seeing protests in one of the, medical centers, one or another. It's almost a given when you meet a Nigerian medical personnel that they're planning to leave the country. Last month, I was ill and I went to a hospital. And I didn't ask the doctor, are you leaving? I tweaked the question. So I asked the doctor, when are you leaving Nigeria? The doctor laughed and said, why did you ask that? I said, because it feels like all of you are leaving. He said, well, next year. So it's almost, for them, when you ask them what is the Nigerian dream of a Nigerian doctor, the Nigerian dream of the average Nigerian doctor now is to go abroad, which
and
is
it's because of things like this.
And
this
many of them don't want
really
to even go. Like, it's not like they genuinely want to go and live and work abroad, but it's just they don't have the facilities to be able to live a
And the government doesn't seem
life.
to pay any attention to their concerns. I mean, you can see the list of demands, and they're very reasonable. Training, fulfillment of agreements they had agreed upon in the past, and just keeping their own end of the deal, but it's too much of a big deal for the government to focus on. And it's gone to a very critical level now. And then how do you, knowing the sorts of problems you have at home, propose this?
So it's not even just money, it's also infrastructure. Last year, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, where we had the young doctor who got crushed in the elevator, right? A number of them recounted their experiences living and working as resident doctors there, how sometimes they wouldn't have water, they would climb to how many floors. How do you expect somebody in that state of mind to be able to give the best medical care to their patients? And we're very quick sometimes to shout, oh, you saw the Hippocratic Oath. They also have, doctor has to be well to be able to give the best of themselves to their patients. We've not really prioritized our medical doctors as a whole. And what this is saying, whilst it may have been with the best of intentions, what this is saying to the medical doctors inadvertently is saying to them that, your service at home is not as important. So we're prioritizing those who are going to serve. And in all other things being equal, this wouldn't have been a bad idea to foster cooperation between both countries, right? It wouldn't have been a bad idea. The reason why it is a bad idea is because the doctors at home have been crying, have been complaining about the quality of their lives, they've been protesting. We're in different parts of the country. We're always having one resident doctor strike, staff union strike, this one strike within the medical space. And I think that this is something that the government should look into. We don't have enough doctors. You go to the hospital, even the government facilities, the government-owned hospitals, you go there, there are massive queues. People are waiting. And you recounted your own experience about going to see the doctor, and then the doctor telling you, my head, I'm hungry.
he had to take a break. He said, please, after I attend to you, I just need to go and sleep. I have not slept since morning. And people were outside there shouting, blah, 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 blah. One doctor. The World Health Organization says, highlights that at least every country should have one doctor to 600 patients, basically, maybe two in a year. Nigeria has a ratio of one doctor to 9,000 to 12,000
Actually, I was going to say 10,000 and more.
Nigeria has that ratio, which shows that we are in dire straits. We are in a critical situation. While we're going through the Nigeria Democracy Day, we had two medical practitioners who came here live, and every single thing they said would actually bring out goosebumps from your body, because you'll be thinking to yourself, okay, what if this happens? Like we've usually said on the show, and every now and then.
One emergency.
Yes, one emergency
away
from death or complete bankruptcy. Complete. Now, look at the letter, the communique put out by the Medical Association. One of the things they mentioned was that, and it's shocking. It's shocking that when some Nigerians or some politicians say that we have a system where it's bare lip service, and it's starting to look that way. And they say it's a situation where people are just propagandists. They're just pushing narratives that are not true. It's been confirmed by the NMA. I hope you saw that in the letter. That the so-called increase and review of salary you people had promised, which was made mention by this same administration just last year or so on, they've not seen it. So you know that the people are not doing well, people are not, Nigeria has a deficit in medical practitioners. Then we go and promise. I don't know what to say. See, maybe we'll have this conversation in the course
maybe
of the
the
show.
logic of the government
let's have it.
is that they're going to leave anyway, so we might as well encourage them and support their leaving.
To the detriment of the people that
Let
we
us
serve.
fix the home, right? It's important to fix the roof at home rather before doing favors.
Let's just take it that maybe they were
important.
excited, so they make that statement out of excitement.
I don't think it was
Just
out
like
of excitement.
Out of excitement.
The,
Oh, you
the
know what?
scholarship to Nigerian universities.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, out of excitement. You want to give them
But this
scholarship.
is a very
When
serious.
their
So
school
what
is-
I'm saying,
their
what I
school
think
is
is
fantastic.
they're not. I don't think they overtly did it in bad faith, but it has really come out to look like
the optics.
You know, the optics
That's
don't
terrible.
look good.
Olive,
for the
Olive, I
government.
don't know how to describe it, but I think whatever it was to be mentioned or done in good faith, it's wrong. It kind of like reminds me of what we heard. Subsidy is gone immediately. It's like there's this quickness, there's this speed of let's just you know what, let's just do something. Let's put a groundbreaking statement out. So everybody would shatter all ceilings. Everybody would be like, ooh.
And the
that's
truth
exactly
is, we're
what
not trying to be those persons that would see everything wrong to nitpick on. If we see something that is good and beneficial for Nigerians, of course we'll applaud that. But our responsibility is to amplify the voices of Nigerians and their daily complaints. We'll come back to this. Let us know your thoughts on YouTube at News Central TV. Drop your chat in the chat box and we'll take it. But now let's share with you what the headlines are this morning. Joe, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, just before you go to our top story, we just want to commiserate and share condolences to the former Nigerian goalkeeper and legend.
Yes.
Peter Obi.
Yesterday was such a dark day, really.
Yesterday wasn't good.
That Thursday was trending on X.
Jota as well, who died in the car crash while we ended. Peter Rufai also followed through. They said
At
he died of an
He's been
illness.
battling a long illness.
Our heart goes out to his family. Apparently, we'll try as much as possible to see how we can reach out to the family, but please do accept our condolences here.
And to the whole of Nigeria, because he was a gift to the country. So
Yeah, it was.
It's really
In the history of Nigeria, it has to be the most, one of the most popular, very iconic goalkeeper.
Yes.
Very sad.
May he so
Rest in peace, Dodo Mayana.
All right, let's now bring you the top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, Labour Party gives Peter Obi 48 hours to resign. Abre, of course, is a champion in this movement. ADC coalition move sparks controversy. We're taking the reactions to this. ADC ESCO leaders step down as coalition leaders take over. ADC new structure has been formed. The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike diverts area councils IGR to settle salaries amid teachers' strike. The newspaper front pages forms the core of our conversations this morning. Join us for all these and more. The Julius Abure-led faction of the Labour Party has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to Peter Obi, demanding his resignation over his involvement in a new coalition under the African Democratic Congress, ADC.
A coalition which includes heavyweights like David Mark and Ralph Agbeshala aim to challenge the ruling APC in 2027. But the Labour Party says it's not part of this alliance, that they're calling Obi's move a betrayal against the party. Now, join us this morning on Breakfast Central to discuss this ultimatum issued by the Labour Party to its candidate as Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Mr. Abayomi Arabambi. Good morning to you, sir, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me this morning.
Now, my first question is, why has the Labour Party decided to take this position? And did Peter Obi not consult with the leadership of the Labour Party before joining the coalition?
Well, thank you very much. Let me start by quoting Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, "Our life begin to end the day we are silent in our things that matters." And also, the Cameroonian philosopher Fabien Bonada said, "In Africa, we do not have leaders who fail and retire, but rather we have leaders who fail and recycle." This is exactly what is happening to Nigeria now, where the architect, of our natural disaster, are shamelessly regrouping themselves as messiah, where those who poisons, our economy are coming now to present, to Nigeria a new prescription. The constitution is very clear. You cannot belong to two political parties. And we have been very consistent, in our ideology with respect to Labour Party, that you cannot, the Labour Party is not going to be part of any coalition, a coalition of Yahoo, where people who, enter in the past, are for one thing or the other, and they fail woefully to decide that their duty, will now be giving a coalition, to return Nigeria back to the, to the dark ages. Peter Obi, as we have constantly said it, is not making any discussion on behalf of Labour Party, but is free on his own to go and join any coalition. And it's very clear, the Constitution forbids anybody, you can't be in Labour Party, at the same time, you'll be in the ADC. ADC is a political party. Now that all of them have joined, that automatically signifies that he has resigned. But you see, we know before who he is. Some 5 or 6 days ago, most of him have watched him on Twitter, listened to him on Twitter, and where he said he is pushing NNPC to recognize the Nadi Usman, who we believe in Labour Party is just the chairman of their Young Festival Committee. No framework of our party, no constitutional, area of our party recognizes, the Nadi Usman. He is just the one that, set up the Nadi Usman caretaker to be managing their Young Festival. Now, on just 6 days ago, he told Nigeria that, I am still, in Labour Party, we are pushing. He told Nigeria that it's not going to be any part of any coalition that want to grab power. But just 3 days ago now, you saw him again jumping ship. You saw him jumping ship, into ADC. He jumped ship into ADC, claiming to be leader of Labour Party. That one, as far as we are concerned, is not, acceptable, and that one we are giving him 48 hours because we do not want, the disaster that befell us in 2023 election to befell us again in 2027. He has decided to pitch his tent with them, and we are now telling him that, as far as we are concerned, Obi should not be thinking the upper and omega of Labour Party Nigeria, and that's why we are just giving him 2 days to tender resignation, or else, we'll take him to the cleaners.
Okay.
To leave our party now. He should not be talking about Labour Party. Nobody that fall into that place should be talking about Labour Party anymore.
Mr. Arabambi,
and they are left for good.
Mr. Arabambi, but what we are seeing here, you've said he should resign in 48 hours. You've called him political Yahoo. But the Senator Nadi Usman-led committee of the Labour Party have said that you guys are political jesters. They refer to your camp of leadership as political jesters and saying that Peter Obi consulted with the Labour Party. How do you hope, because at the end of the day, again, I think that this resurrects, again, the issue of leadership, who is really leading the Labour Party? I don't know, would you say that you and, the Julius Abure and your team have a firm grasp on leadership in the Labour Party?
As we speak today, the only body recognizes on the NNPC portal is Julius Abure as national chairman and Farouk Umar as national secretary. You see, let me be very clear. You see, we have some bunch of jesters, parading themselves as leader of the Labour Party. Nana, this man, as we said, is not our member. He's not member of the Labour Party. Nana, this man belongs to the PDP. And this kind of the character that even Obi imported into our party, you know, in the build-up to 2023 election, that we saw the life of Acha Yusufu, we saw the life of, Itwa Gadano. One of them, they are not members, but these are the people that superintended over our failure in 2023. So the same thing is what they are doing. Why I said they are doing Yahoo politics, that Obi just wanted to raise money for his business. Obi is not interested in becoming anything. You can't be speaking with both sides of the mouth. Tomorrow, you will tell Nigeria, I am here. Next tomorrow, you will tell them, I am not here. What we are not saying that we want to do anything, we want to do away with him. He should just go and find himself, you know. If what he said is, you know, is okay with the ADC coalition, we wish him well there. We don't want him, you know, to put his foot there, one in ADC, one Labour Party. It is forbidden in the Constitution of Nigeria. You cannot be holding the card of two parties. In as much as he has openly identified with them, and they said, oh, our coalition wants to tackle President Bola Tinubu. That one is none of our business. But we know that that coalition is coalition because every character there, they are the people that have brought one disaster or the other of Nigeria, and they cannot come back now to be giving us a prescription on now Nigeria will exist, you know, whatever current problem. Now, let me remind you, in 2014, this is the kind of coalition, including the current president, that brought untold hardship, a catastrophic governance of Buhari on Nigeria for 8 years, where the issue of insecurity they are even complaining about was the, you know, I mean, they were the architect of that insecurity. Why do I say so? Remember, President Jonathan consulted so many Amagiri schools, but what did Adamu told us? The Minister of Education, they decided not to have anything to do with the Amagiri school. They said, oh, it is against their religion. They don't want to train them. They would rather prefer those young boys and girls, you know, to be going to the Quranic school. But today, we have had the implosion in insecurity. You know, they are now putting that, you know, on the Bola Tinubu. You know, these are things Suffolk will not agree with because they are the architect, you know, of insecurity in Nigeria. There was insecurity during Jonathan. There was insecurity during Buhari. But these are the kind of, you know, coalition that they said, oh, is going to do Nigeria better. And look at the people there. What? How can at the former Minister of Aviation now be smiling inside such a coalition? How can Rotimi Amechi be smiling inside that kind of coalition? How can Malami, the Attorney General, be smiling in that kind of coalition? You know what they want to do? They want to bring Nigeria back to that era where we will now be using our over 95% resources, over our 95% internal revenue to be servicing debt, where they will not be taking loans again from China like they did during their administration, where virtually all Nigeria, including you and me, they want to use us as collateral before the National Assembly, you know, such a loan. That is exactly where they want to put us to. So for us, Obi is not a member of the Labour Party, else, you know, it is a constitutional issue. We don't want to drag him to court that people will be saying, oh, maybe the Labour Party is trying to cause confusion within the agency. And because we are not interested in that their condition.
All right, Mr. Obi.
As Peter Obi has properly identified with them, we wish him well. He should tell that resident will take for that.
Mr.
We will take him to the political plane.
Mr. Rabambi, I mean, you've expressed your displeasure. But you said two things which I'm going to take note of, and I'd like you to respond to these questions. One of the things you just said now is the fact that you said you cannot belong to a party and still be in another party. Are you aware of the FCT minister? Have you spoken against it? Or is it because Obi is closer to Labour Party, so it hurts the most? I'd like you to respond to that. Secondly, your party just a few weeks ago was begging Peter Obi, according to the stories you find in the papers, they used the word begging, that he should please come back and get ready for 2027. Do you think yourself, personally, that your political platform is perfect and right now for Mr. Peter Obi? If you were him, would you stay?
You see, nobody ever predicted with Peter Obi to come back to the Labour Party. That is the figment of imagination of some characters, that have been following to their Yam Festival in Abia and Abuja. I will continue to maintain that stand. We have never begged him to come back and run the Labour Party. Now, our party, is so formidable now that we will go into that 2027 presidential election without Peter Obi. Peter Obi is just in charge of circumstances. Do not forget the issue of NSAS. Nigeria was just tired with the way the maladministration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who destroyed our economy and made Nigeria poverty capital of the world. Nigeria was also displeased, with the previous administration of the PDP. And the only thing they saw with the Labour Party then, they would have also, if NNPC have done the right thing, probably, the top of might have also said, oh, let us work together. But they saw Labour Party as the only party, that can deliver them, out of that present program that we find ourselves. But alas, we made a mistake, to put NNPC forward. And within 6 months, a man that promises that can unite Nigeria in 2 years destroyed, our party. Now, for the PDP, is it for this been known to them? But the only thing I know is that former Vice President Atiku is the architect of whatever that is happening, to the People Democratic Party. Now, the reason is this. I am not a fan of the FCT minister, but do not forget, when they were having issues, only one man will remain standing.
Does that give him the right? Mr. Rabambi, sorry to butt in. Sorry. We know the story, okay? Maybe because of time. You said Peter Obi cannot belong to your party and still try to, fraternize with another party. But I just asked you, there's an example already. In short, everybody's now saying that, let's do it together. Let's belong to one party and be here. And you've criticized it heavily because it's Mr. Peter Obi. Have you ever criticized it from the FCT minister's point before? Because you're trying to make an excuse now.
No, I don't think Minister Nyesom Wike has ever declared for. No, I don't think Minister Wike has ever declared for APC.
Mr. Obi has not declared for ADC too now. He just joined the court. Mr. Obi has not declared yet.
He had declared for AP. No, he had declared for ADC. We saw him there. We saw there. We saw Victor Obi. We saw them there. They can never come back. They can never come back to the Labour Party. They can never come back. You see, when the plane took off, you don't want the plane that took off to say, it's gone.
I'm sorry.
They are gone.
But okay. He has not. Is there a presser? Is there a press release? Is there a press release where he said, "I hereby"? Because former River State Governor clearly mentioned that he's no longer a member of the APC. He said it clearly. But Mr. Peter Obi has not said that. So are you saying it for him ahead of time?
No, I said Peter Obi can never come back. You see, we do not want the kind of Yahoo politics that, we were a victim of Yahoo politics in 2023. We will never be a victim of Yahoo politics in 2027 because, you see, what he thinks he wants to do, let me tell Nigerians today, for him to have attended that place, I am not a prophet, but I will tell you, he will not get that ticket there, and he will not get it in the Labour Party.
All right.
Please mark it down. Obi will not get that ticket there. I know we will get it in the Labour Party. We have a candidate that we are projecting.
Who is the candidate that you are projecting?
Obi is not coming back.
Who is the candidate that you are projecting for the Labour Party?
We have a candidate that we are projecting now.
Yes, who is the candidate?
That's why we will be in a World Press Conference.
Okay.
No, you see, if I let it out now, most of the political hawks now, you see them, moving around, they just want to,
just to confirm. Just confirm.
And let me shock you. She's a woman of international repute.
Oh,
we are going to avail that very soon.
That's very exciting. I love to hear about women in office and women in political leadership positions as a woman. So that excites me. But I want to ask, when did you come to this decision in your party?
About
this decision to
about what?
Yeah, the woman you're pushing forward, the Labour Party. the candidate? When did you come to this decision?
No, I said in a very short while. In a very short while now, the woman will be unveiled.
So no, that's not what I'm asking.
The woman will be unveiled.
I agree. I'm not asking who she is. I'm asking when did you come to this decision? When did you decide on her?
No, it's something that we have been, doing underneath because we knew Obi is not stable. We knew Obi is not stable.
Okay.
So we are also, going into the political, arena, to pick a very viable political person from the Southeast.
So does this then give credence? From what you've said, does this then give credence to the fact that you were already going to do this, regardless of whether Peter Obi decided to stay or leave? You already had who you were going to throw your support behind. That is one. Two.
No, we don't know this has been the Labour Party. He has caused a lot of trouble for us. He should leave and go and join, this association of people who poison the Nigerian economy, and they are now coming to a new prescription.
So you already wanted this to happen. So this is something that. So this is something that the Julius Abure-led faction of the Labour Party already wanted to happen. Regardless, there was no way that Peter Obi could have, swung out of this position. It was going to eventually end up here. Is what I'm driving at, because from what you're saying, all indications, you already, and this is something I wanted to mention earlier, the Julius Abure-led faction of the Labour Party has not particularly been a fan of Peter Obi. So it would seem that all these was leading eventually to asking him to officially leave the party, which leads me to my next question. The Labour Party existed pre-Peter Obi, but came to fame because of Peter Obi, the vehicle of Peter Obi and the obedience movement. What is the Labour Party without Peter Obi, without the obedience movement in the 2027 election?
Thank you very much. There is no obedience when we won the governorship election in Ondo State. There is no obedience of Peter Obi, or just an ordinary businessman when we won the governorship election in Ondo. When Omagege won election as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Labour Party before he defected. There was no Peter Obi when the Great Ogboru contested and we won so many assembly and rep. There was no Peter Obi when the late Ifeanyi contested the Labour Party. You see, most of these things are just, the imagination of some of these people that follow Obi. And I'm not going to, blame them. Most of these obedience, they are politically naive. They are politically docile. They are just a bunch of businessmen who doesn't even know anything about Nigeria political state. Because some of them don't even know the people. And that is catastrophic. Because you see some of them coming out to say there was no Labour Party before now. That is a shame. A shame on even people call themselves left-blooded, people call themselves educated. They don't even know that Labour Party has won a governorship, I've been seen before in this country. That is a shame, and that's why we do not want such characters foreign people all around. People who does not even know, the economy, the political realities in Nigeria ever in their life. And people will be coming out to say, oh, what is Labour Party? Labour Party was nowhere before. How did we survive registration? They have forgotten that there are issues that INEC, condition presented for INEC, to register over 70-something political party before 2019 general election. Why the Labour Party made it? Because we won election into the assembly, we won election into the House of Reps, without Peter Obi, who was busy managing his bank, for God's sake. So people should stop insulting Labour Party. I have been in Labour Party for 16 years. Are they the one running it for us? Did we collected any money from Peter Obi or any other person before Mimiko won election in Labour Party? When we have the lack of Omagege from Delta, do they know what it means for us to win an election in Delta?
But Omagege,
we have
this Omagege that you mentioned is still dumb. This Omagege that you mentioned
we have one assembly member in Anambra when he was the governor. We have one House assembly member when he was the governor. So what are we talking about? Nobody, we do not want
now, Mr. Arabambi.
Our issue is that Obi should go. We do not want it.
Okay, you've made your position very clear. You want Mr. Peter Obi to go, and feelers that he will exit the Labour Party very soon. You've given a 48-hour ultimatum. But my question is, the Labour Party as currently constituted is in some sort of crisis or the other. There's a leadership crisis, there are factions, there's also Lamidi Papa in the picture. My question to you is this. When Peter Obi eventually leaves the Labour Party, will there be peace? And is it the silver lining that would solve all the internal problems of the Labour Party? when he leaves, will all the wranglings and the internal discord in the Labour Party as currently constituted, will it end? That's my question to you.
The crisis in the Labour Party will come to an end immediately Peter Obi exited the Labour Party. That is what I want to tell Nigeria, and that's why we are asking him to leave the party. He is the genesis of the crisis we have in the Labour Party, so we want him to leave. So let him now go and try with the obedience, let them go and take over the ADC. Let him give, I mean, as he's going to ADC, let him become the president candidate, let Baba Ahmed become the vice president candidate. I mean, they should take Nanabi Usman as their national chairman. You know, everybody, let them just go there. They will see. Let them go there and try their luck. But they are gunners. They are gunners as far as the Labour Party. We have
Mr.
Please,
Mr. Abambi, please take a deep breath. I just want to refer to, I mean, you've been mentioning, you say that Peter Obi is the genesis of the Labour Party's issues. You've mentioned a number of people, even the Ovioma Agege that you mentioned, when he dumped the Labour Party for the APC as far back as 2017. He referred to the crisis within the Labour Party as a reason for him to leave the party. So at the end of the day, can we really be fair and honest? I understand you have every right to decide if you do not want someone to be a part of your party. They also have a right to be able to challenge that desire of yours. However, I don't know that it's a fair statement to say that Obi is the genesis of the crisis in the Labour Party.
It was the genesis of the crisis in the Labour Party because, he's a man, that is interested in grabbing power at all costs. What was the problem? You remember, I said there was a time we took Akwa to court over some matters, and we got, an injunction restraining him. We knew how Obi mobilizes senior advocate of Nigeria in court to the extent that Abure prevailed. And they said, oh, Abure has no case to answer. Fine, we have no about this thing. We decided, to follow that judgment. But what is now happening? Same thing that is dead on arrival in court was what Obi is now proclaiming to say, oh, Abure is this, Abure is that, and Abure has to resign. Why would Abure resign? Our problem with him was because when we had the contact Abure to step down, Apapa came on board, but he doesn't want Apapa. He pretended he wanted an Abure. At the end of the day, he never wanted Apapa and Abure. All he wanted was just his own, so that they can continue the Yahoo they did for us. We are a president candidate. I've never had that in history. A president candidate will go and open a personal account and now be taking money into it, and you are running on a political platform. Let him go and try that. You see, there are some things that we are still going to.
We're out of time.
Now. He is free. Let him go there. We do not want him in Labour Party.
Mr. Abambi.
We do not want him.
Mr. Abambi.
Nobody will do anything for us in 2020.
Mr. Abambi, thank you so much. But this case reminds me of a story of a child who went out to a party, ate rice and chicken, and then came back to the house, and the mother said, "You will not enter the house. That you've decided to leave the house and live with the people who organize the party. You've disowned us." Just because he went to eat rice there. So Obi did not say he has moved. He just went there and joined other members. So that's why I was asking if you have any press statement that he has said, "I hereby declare that I have." But since there's no press statement...
We are not waiting, my dear brother, we are not waiting for any press statement.
Well, let him come back and tell you now.
So,
as he told you,
so Mr. Abambi, what
locked
next?
the door already.
No, so what next?
The member of Astra, with due respect, we call them the gunners.
So what next, Mr. Abambi? If Mr. Obi says, ignores what you're saying, although his camp has responded, of course, calling your team political jesters and saying that he's gotten permission and took permission from the party and that the party is fully in support. So if he ignores your warnings, what next?
Not representing. Nanabi Usman is not representing Labour Party. He's not representing Labour Party. So our decision is the final. Obi must leave. If he doesn't go, then we will go to the political cleaners. Things that people are not supposed to hear about him or not, then we will go to the world and expose. He should just pack his bag and package and go there. So let him go and expose his bed there. He must not even speak about Labour Party anymore. If he does, he will meet us. He will meet us in court. We will go to EFCC. There are a lot of things, a lot of nonsense that they have committed in the Labour Party. We advise him to leave. We are just giving him that respect. If he fails, we know how many of them that EFCC will pick up and nobody should blame us. that we don't think.
This is actually now starting to sound like a threat.
Wow.
Mr. Arabambi.
We do not want them to come and invest us with their corruption.
Mr. Arabambi, this is starting to sound like a threat. And if you were aware of any crimes that were being committed and did nothing, then maybe you also can be accused of being complicit. But that's a conversation for another day. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Arabambi. We have to move down to our next conversation, still talking about the drama happening within the political space. The recent adoption of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, as the official opposition coalition party has ignited mixed reactions in several quarters. Many prominent Nigerians have declared their support for the party, some as official members, others simply as aligning with its mission.
Well, some believe this marks the beginning of a political revolution capable of unseating President Tinubu's APC in 2027. Others argue that the coalition merely recycles familiar faces, former leaders who they claim played a role in creating the very challenges Nigeria now faces. Joining us now is an individual who has publicly voiced his skepticism about the vision of a rebranded ADC, is activist and convener of Revolution Now movement, Mele Kyari. A warm welcome to you and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central. Mr. Kyari, we've read your reactions to this, but we want to hear directly from you what you make of the new coalition that was formed to unseat the APC in 2027, the ADC as currently constituted, and the personalities behind it.
Mr. Kyari, are you there with us? We don't seem to be able to hear you. We're hoping that we can have that sorted so we have a robust conversation. Mr. Mele Kyari has been very vocal about his thoughts regarding the coalition. We've also heard his Deji Adeyonju, who has encouraged him to be a part of the coalition through a public post, an encouragement that he has declined. So we're hoping that we can have this conversation with him where he can share exactly what his position with us, you know, what his position is, and if there's a possibility of expecting something different in the nearest future. But I mean, different factions have shared their thoughts and continue to share their thoughts. The political leaders, politicians have all taken sides. I expect that in the next couple of weeks, there'll be a lot of allegiances, there will be a lot of shifting allegiances will start to unearth, you know, come to the light. And
who knows? I mean, it's political open season, like Mr. Arabambi said. Yes, there's even a powerful woman from the Southeast that they are yet to unveil because of hawks and scouts before they sign her away from the Labour Party.
Mean, first of all, I must say that the interview we just had, I couldn't help but a chuckle at some point. Reason is because the analogy I gave, you know, I tried to play it in my mind from being a child. You go to your neighbor's house to eat rice, and your parents see you eating rice, and then while you're coming back, they lock the door and say you've disowned the family.
I have a different standing to that.
Go away.
My own opinion would be, I can understand saying you cannot be a member of two political parties.
No,
why? Wait,
has he declared?
Wait, hold on. If he declares officially, I cannot wait now. Hold on. He has aligned with the ADC.
How?
From his post, oh no, let me go and read his.
No, it's fine. I saw those.
He has aligned with the ADC, where he has said that he's attending their meetings, saying it's not something. In fact, yesterday he talked about, a day ago he posted saying, yesterday the coalition members formally adopted the ADC for the 2027 Nigerian elections, basically giving us background information. He says, our commitment. So that's him aligning with the ADC.
Agreed.
Our commitment is to sacrifice and work together towards the 2027 general elections, ensuring that Nigeria gets a competent, capable, and compassionate leadership that will prioritize the nation's future by putting the welfare of Nigerians forward. So from this, you can infer that he's a part of the ADC. However, I can also understand those who say you can't be part of one political party and part of another political party. You have to choose where you're standing. But the question is, the people who are saying this today, or are they originally the leaders of the party? Anyway,
that's another
we'll come back to talk about this.
There's a lot.
We have joined us this morning to get reactions from the coalition and the latest developments. We have Mele Kyari. We're hoping that we can connect with him this time. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, great. So let's start with your reactions. We've seen the online appeal by Jadeonjo asking you to please be a part of the coalition, and you've blatantly disregarded this. Why is it?
Well, DG is someone that's a good friend of mine and someone I like. But DG, understand as a lawyer that I won't have an alibi if he asked me to join an armed robbery gang, and I go do that. I can't go to court and say DG asked me to do it. So he knows what he's doing. I think he's just trying to do the best he can to help his friends who are formerly his PDP friends who have gone to join the coalition, to see if he can get people on their side. But I made it very clear from day one when I started politicking in Nigeria, I mean, politics in 2018, 2019, that if I can't help fix Nigeria, I'm not going to be part of those who will break Nigeria into pieces. So everybody in this opposition group that DG himself has criticized severally are people that he and I know cannot be the solution to Nigeria's problem. They are the ones who created the problems that we're facing today in the first place. So he understands that. So I think I will give it to him that he has the right to freely express himself on these matters, and that's what he has done. It's not a crime.
Now, Mr. Shore, I want to take a cue from what Mr. Peter Obi said. He says no one group can change Nigeria alone, and that building bridges, even on easy ones, is necessary. Mr. Shore, don't you think in politics is, democracy is a game of numbers. You make some concessions here and sacrifices. Don't you think that a pragmatic approach would be to work with sometimes strange bedfellows to get to your goal of executive power, so that you can make those changes you desire? Because not everyone would think like you or share some of your beliefs and ideologies, and you just play the game of politics like it's called.
Well, first, Peter Obi would not be my ideal philosopher, so I don't know why you're quoting what he said to me. But the truth is that Nigeria has been at this for 65 years of politics of compromise, of strange bedfellows, and very unprincipled characters. And this is where he has left Nigeria, a broken country. And I have no doubts that I don't need to be in bed with strange bedfellows. I cannot be on a bridge that has been built and broken by the same people. These are not bridge builders. These are country and destiny destroyers who have come together. And if you listen or read what I wrote a few days ago, you must have understood. I just didn't reject the coalition. I named names and I put them where they fit in terms of building a coalition that has put Nigeria where it is today. The APC was a coalition. I don't know why we easily forget these things. We have so many coalitions in this country. We have political parties that have, and it's made up of people who have been in power for several years. And Amechi, for instance, was governor for 8 years. He was Speaker of the House of Assembly at the state level. He was minister for how many years? And you want me to believe that they will fix Nigeria in another coalition? And people like Malami, they were Minister of Justice in this country for 8 years. Peter Obi himself was governor of a state for 8 years. They did nothing. Atiku was a vice president of this country. So this whole excuse or alibi that it is necessary to cover your nose and be in bed with terrible people so that you can fix a country that they broke. And the only thing these people know how to do is to destroy countries. Like I said, just like you have cattle rustlers destroying certain part of the north, you also have destiny rustlers, and then this coalition and the existing coalition that is the ruling party now. And Nigerians forget so quickly. Now, these same characters were the ones that formed this coalition that we're still grappling with. That's the APC. There was Amechi, Rufai, Atiku, and Malami that formed the APC. Most of them, some of them were the CPC part of the APC gang that you haven't recovered from. You and I haven't recovered from. And here we are again, asking to take philosophical position that would destroy our entire existence. I don't know where we get these ideas from.
All right, Mr. Shore, so what would be the ideal take for you come 2027? If you say a coalition party made up of these personalities wouldn't work, and you have continued to criticize the current administration, saying they're not indeed doing very well. So what will eventually be your take? What do you think will work for 2027?
I have been very clear that there are over 83 million voters, registered voters, and I'm sure by the time INEC is done with fresh registration this year, we'll probably have something close to 90 million, if not 100 million people. The last election was carried out by less than 25 million voters, so you still have excess of over, maybe we'll have 80 million voters, or at least 50 million voters available. Are you saying that this country cannot be fixed by those who are not part of those who voted us into the bottom of the world that we're in now? There are plenty of people, and we have spoken at the level of our political party, the African Action Congress, our movement, that there are plenty of Nigerians out there who can make a better decision for the people of Nigeria. And these people are not going to do it. The people we keep referring to as, oh, we are helpless. If we don't join them, we can't make any progress. So we want to be in coalition with the oppressed people. We want to be in coalition with the people who are suffering, people who are really determined to make sure that this country becomes a country that is the one they can be proud of, the one that can provide them the opportunities in life that they need, the one that can protect them, protect their children. It is not a country that is beholden to the same people who destroyed the country. Some of them have been around since independence, or their children, or their cronies, or their family members. So I don't have any reason to keep giving excuses on your shows that I can't be part of this. You know, you are scrolling my list of some of these characters that are in this coalition, with the number one being the president of Nigeria. I've never joined them before, and I'm not going to join them now because it is convenient to do so. I will only join people who have very clear ideology and ideas and ideals that will make those things that I stand for and I've always stood for since I started fighting for this country at the age of 19 or 20. Those is only people who align with my ideas and principles that I can be in bed with. And there are plenty of them. So the problem is that, are we ready to help those who want to help the country? And or we're only ready to help those who are wrecking the country?
I'm glad that you mentioned there are plenty of them. So from what we gather, you're not opposed to a coalition. You're not just in support of the current structure of what this coalition represents. You've mentioned that you can only, unite with a certain kind of people. Would you maybe share names of these people that there's a potential, if you had to go into a coalition with, that you'd rather go into a coalition with?
I have so many people that I can't mention, and that the idea is not to come mention names of people I can be in coalition with. My job is to mention names of people who I can't be in coalition with. I've done the math for you. There are 83 million voters registered in the country. 20 million people voted, or maybe 25 million people voted in the last election. There are 50 left. So there are clearly, mathematically and arithmetically, more people who have not voted, participated in these elections that are out there. But let me just, for instance, throw out something I said a few days ago, which was the fact that I went to INEC meeting and I asked them to register new political parties that we expected. I would, for instance, be comfortable to be in coalition with a political party of Seun Kuti, the Movement of the People, because these are clearly very bright, young, ideal candidates for a country that we need. I will be in coalition with the political party of a party formed by former Gani Famemi. The Socialist Party of Nigeria is out there. There are a lot of political parties that are seeking registration that have not been registered, that we can be in coalition. But most importantly, we don't necessarily have to use the word coalition because politicians are banding around the word coalition, which is a convenient way of fooling people when the election seasons are approaching. So whether you call it coalition, whether we are joining hands, whether we are communing, whichever way you want to call it, it is up to Nigerian people to join a different coalition that is particularly are different and, follows a different trajectory for the one that we are seeing of these people that I call jokers.
Now, Mr. Shoreb, I do appreciate your analysis and you breaking it down that there's a huge bulk of voters out there that are not affiliated to the ruling party or the opposition coalition as currently constituted. There are lots of young Nigerians there that are not happy with the current system and don't even want to see any establishment politicians in any group or settings. But let's talk about the practicality of it and the current political arena in Nigeria. Currently, there's a very huge part that money plays. How do you intend to mobilize and sensitize this millions of Nigerians that, look, this is the alternative, this is the third force, this is the way to go in practical terms? And how do you dislodge these career establishment politicians that have been part of the system since 1999 and way back? And also the issue of poverty, weaponization of poverty. We do know how the current economic situation is in the country. Are you confident that you could speak to a person and that person will decide not to sell their vote and do what is right for them? Those are my questions.
Well, I have to say this, and I'll humbly present this before you and Nigerians, that it is not going to be just my job. I don't have a magic wand to make people decide that they don't want to suffer anymore. I don't have a magic wand to turn people away from selling their votes. But we can all work together to bring about a consciousness to say to people, look, enough is enough of suffering, of being decimated by these characters politically. Enough is enough of being second-class citizens in your own country. We can say that to people. With regards to money, money is the only currency they know. But even if anything is out there now, is that there's a different level, or there are different levels of money. It's no longer what the political class is used to. And there's a currency that we need to use, and that is to appeal to everybody that, yes, you can sell your votes, but whenever you sell your vote, you know what has happened to you. There is also enough evidence to show that people who sold their votes are not doing better than people who didn't sell their votes or people who didn't even vote at all. So it is a consciousness campaign that we must all engage in, and that's what I've been doing probably my entire life, but I've intensified. And there's an opportunity now, having seen what is presented by the political class, there's an opportunity now for Nigerians to look at what they presented and for them to also decide to follow what we have presented or what is ideal for them. Because if they don't, well, you already know what will be the outcome of this character that you're seeing here lined up. And I want to also mention quickly, and this is not digressing, that if you look at this hall, in front of you, you cannot find anybody that represents 70% of the Nigerian population. That is the young people who are below the age of 35. All of these people are in their 70s, 80s, some of them you don't even know their age, you don't know their pedigree. They are the ones sitting down here making you feel like they represent you when they never represented you when they were in their 20s. They will never represent you when they're 80. These are a bunch of unpatriotic, very greedy, selfish, very wicked set of Nigerians that the worst of the characters you can see are here in this hall, and they're also in the other political party known as the APC. So, and I can also guarantee you that some of these people will still go back to the APC, by the way, before the end of the election, because they don't have a daytime job. This is what they do, just hustling and moving around trying to find what to eat and what they can sell, which is first and foremost their conscience. So, and at the end of the day, the people who are selling their votes will just get crumbs out of all of this. So it is everybody's duty. This is not just about Showre or even political parties. It's about your survival. It's a life and death issue, and the urgency of now is upon us to change direction. These people came out very early, and I'm happy about it. They came out early now. You can access them, you can see them. And by the way, even some of our friends who were misdirected last time are already also I saw Charlie Boy. If you read what Charlie Boy wrote, who's a friend of mine, you understand that maybe the consciousness is coming upon him as well. Although you can't trust how long that will last. Even Dati, who was the deputy to Obi, because you're mentioning Obi a lot, I said it even during an interview yesterday that the people who are in this coalition are not they're not even the third 11. These are third-rated, selfish and patriotic politicians who cannot bring about the narrative, who cannot change the narrative and change the country the way we want it to be fundamentally changed. People are making these comparisons, but of course, we all have a duty, including those of you in the studio, to not also ensure that the reasonable voices or the voice of reason are drowned by the hubris that has been presented by these guys. And I'm sure that a lot more people are realizing that we've made these mistakes too many times and it's time to change course.
Before now, you've alleged that, and you stated that all opposition parties in Nigeria, except the AAC, are being influenced and manipulated by the APC. What we've seen, however, in the past few weeks has been a lot of movement. First, it was a lot of people moving from the PDP to the APC, and all the other parties, the Labour Party inclusive. But now that the coalition has emerged, there are going to be some fresh movements as well. Like we say, political transfer window season is upon us. Do you have concerns about the stance or the position of the AAC and the ability of this to sort of shake your standing?
No, I don't have. You see, we should look at the AAC as a political party, and you look at the other political parties, and you will notice that since the end of the 2023 election, you can't find a single person, not a single person in the AAC who has jumped ship. We're not a party of carpetbaggers or gerrymanders who wake up, in one uniform by the time they go to bed and wake up the next day, they're in another political party. I am not saying that 100% there may not be somebody in the AAC who might be ideologically confused, who can do something wrong. I'm not saying that, but the majority of our party members are very committed. Their ideological stand on where Nigeria should be is unshakable, and there is no way an AAC member will want to join the political hubris that is going on now in Abuja or elsewhere. You mentioned earlier that I said, most of these people, of course, a lot of them are APC members. In fact, they are already having conversations on the ground that some of them can't be trusted because they are moles from the party. The majority of the people in this particular party you are mentioning, the ADC, and the ADC, by the way, is a party created by Obasanjo, are members of the APC. Amici is a member of the APC. Malami is a member of the APC. Nasir El-Rufai is a member of the APC. And David Mark is from PDP. So you have the former CPC people and the Atiku chapter of the PDP. They are the majority of people in this political party. So, and then you have, if I say there are Labour Party people, I would just be making, I'll be confusing you. Most of the people who went to Labour Party with Peter Obi are former PDP people, they are former Atiku people. Obi himself was Atiku's deputy in 2019. So the Labour Party, as I usually describe them, is an Airbnb, it's a short renter, and their tenure or their rent has expired, and they probably haven't succeeded in renewing. So, and you know that so many people that also jumped ship recently from National Assembly, in the Senate and the House of Representatives are members of the Labour Party. So these guys, because there was never really a Labour Party in the sense of it. The Labour Party was just a special purpose vehicle that was used to confuse people in 2023. And as soon as they won the election, everybody headed back to where they belonged, their habitat, their natural habitat.
Now, Mr. Shore, if you put down the CVs of everybody that is part of the new coalition, you will notice that they've been in one form of official position or the other, political position in the history of Nigeria. And they've cross-carpeted, they've been one-time PDP or APC or both ways. And if you also do the same for the ruling APC, you see that they are very politically involved. But there's a generation of Nigerians, young Nigerians, conscious Nigerians that are yearning for a real change, not a change of former politicians or politicians that have a bone to pick with the ruling APC. I want to just grab power for the sake of power. How do you reach out to those Nigerians? Are there all the political parties with the thinking of the AAC too? Because you did mention that it's nice that they came out this early before the election, so everybody knows what they're dealing with. So there's still time. Are you hopeful that you and people that are like-minded might come up with a third force and say, look, we're not doing politics as usual, we're different? Are you thinking towards extending hand of fellowship to Nigerians that just don't want to deal with parties that have been involved in bringing us to this present state?
Yes, but let me also make the distinction between political parties and political ideas or political interests. A lot of people who may be interested in change don't necessarily want to join political parties. That's what I've discovered about Nigerians. They are very unique in that regard, and that is why probably Nigerians, and I use soccer, football as an example. Nigeria is the only country that I know of that if they present a group of persons to go and play soccer in any competition and they're not doing well, they will start supporting the team that is doing well. And that is what they need to bring to bear on 2027. And it has, for me, I don't even believe that we need to wait till 2027 because I'm a revolutionary. I think this whole idea of being subjugated and oppressed will end today, the next hour. But for those who feel like, they want to act according to the calendar dictated by the political ruling parties, I want to say to you that you don't actually have to join a political party. You can decide what you need is a voter card. And the moment you have that, you can vote for whomever you want as long as you are conscious. But I must say this, that even the mentality of the average Nigerian youth that we talk about, the legendary Nigerian youth, must change. If their ambitions are limited to becoming special assistants and supervisors and special advisors to these failed people, then there's no way they can get the kind of change they want, no matter how conscious they are. That consciousness must be matched with an ambition that is unrivaled and that must be futuristic and competitive. Anything less than that is going to put them back to where they used to belong. These people understand Nigerians. They know they're vibrant. They know they're very competitive. They understand that. They understand the world, that they are dynamic.
All right.
But they also understand that they can be very complacent and they can be very confused, and that sometimes they don't have clear ambition. That is why you see them always saying, oh, nobody can defeat the old order. The old order has already defeated itself by its own performance and by its own history of lack of performance and its own, backwardness. You just need to organize. So, but to go straight to your question, I'll say, yes, I'm open, and we're reaching out to a lot of people, especially very young, vibrant, dynamic people, or even older, very conscious Nigerians, wherever you may be. Please, if we can't reach you, reach out to us. We're willing and ready to work with you to make this country just change once and for all. And for those of you who rely solely on hope, let's just tell you that hope is not a strategy. Right. It has to be action.
All right, Mr. Shore, we're wrapping up this conversation now, but before we go, are you equally going to be running for 2027, and who would be your running mate?
Nobody can pigeonhole me as far as running in 2027 is concerned. As I've always responded to you, I'm always running, and I never stop running until we get to the place that we need to be, until we win. So I'm running, but I'm not responding to this as a response to your question, but I'm just running for human rights. I'm running for the betterment of the country. I'm running for prosperity. I'm running for progress and peace for Nigeria and Africa, the Black race, and the world. So you just don't worry. When I'm ready to make the particular announcement that you're looking for, I would let you know. You guys are my friends, and we're not that far away from each other. So I'll let you know. But for now, let's focus on just what is important, which is to get our country back.
Do you have faith in the decision to run?
I'm not a faith-based person. If I'm going to run, I'll just announce when I'm ready. There's nothing spiritual about running.
No, I wasn't asking about faith from the spiritual perspective. I was really saying that looking at the indices on the ground, with the fact that it seems like all the big wigs have come together, the coalition has a strength on its own because of the caliber of people, their political trajectory. Some would argue that you haven't really held political office. So I'm asking, do you believe that even as you're running, with your decision to run, that you will win the 2027 elections? Or do you think that from what it is, you're running because you know that that is the right thing to do, not necessarily because you believe that you will move and that INEC will respond to what the polls are reflecting?
It's exactly what I'm saying about running. And I've said this without trying to digress from your exact question. Is that there's nothing great about the people you call experienced politicians that have head office. They've had office for how many years now? I mentioned one that has head office from, if you add 8 to 8, that's 16 years. Amechi, Erufai did 16 years. What did they give you? All these experienced politicians that you keep hyping and promoting, they have nothing to offer. It's about here. It's about ideas. Nobody has ever voted for experience that has no use. You should vote based on your experience with them. And I have been involved my entire life defeating people who people claim are undefeatable. The military, and all these corrupt politicians. I've worked my entire life defeating them. There's no big deal about that. There's a bunch of cowards. But I must also admit that without fundamentally tinkering with the things that will bring about the outcome of free, fair, and credible elections, everybody is wasting his time too. And INEC is a major problem. The security agencies are a major problem. And, the processes that, interfere with free and fair elections are all still in place. I, for instance, go to INEC meetings, and when the people who are officials of INEC, when you see them, they are people these are APC members, and they are the federal commissioners, they are the state electoral commissioners. They don't put them there to go and sanitize the process. They put them there so that they can help them rig elections. So all of this has to be fundamentally, of course, addressed, and that is why, before being a politician, I'm a revolutionary.
All right.
And I think
I'll hate to interject now, but we've run out of time. We have to wrap up the conversation now. We've run out of time. Thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. All the best with 2027.
Thank you for having me.
We wish you all the best with your run. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, this is still Breakfast Central. We'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we have more conversations. Remember, you can be a part of this on YouTube by streaming live more conversations. Stay tuned. Welcome to Breakfast Central. If you're just joining us, and if you're still here, we do have more interviews. But first, we decided to take you through the front pages of the newspapers. This morning, we're joined by Dotun Ojom, public affairs analyst, as we look through what the top stories are saying. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be here this
morning. It's great to have you.
Yes.
Let's start with
Happy
the daily
weekend.
Abio Echo weekend.
Very trendy. Oh, this morning.
Thank you.
Very fashionable. It's the influence of his daughters. It's very brave for men to wear pink.
Well, no, real men work.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Let's begin with the Daily Independent. Too many stories to look at. ADC coalition will set Nigeria back by decades, presidency says members looking for political relevance slams Buhari's appointees for joining coalition, lists why ADC coalition can't mirror APC. APC describes promoters as merchants of vendetta. Anyanwu's reinstatement, them are going to be remembered for presiding over PDP's final funeral. Sanwo-Olu mourns ex-Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai. We all do. 2027, why Wike is already afraid of us by ADC. Coalition, Labour Party slams Abure, says it gave Obi blessings to participate. Senate considers proposals on electoral reforms, state police, local government creation. My children have rights to own land, Wike says. Slams opposition, defends Tinubu's tough decision. And finally, we've made oil smuggling unattractive, says Tinubu. Too many stories. Let's start the coalition. Your thoughts on the coalition?
Coalition. In terms of ballot strategy,
yes,
it's a top-notch decision they've made. And what do I mean by ballot strategy? One of the major issues that we have in Nigeria is the ability to educate our people to know how to vote. It's beyond the party. When they give them the ballot paper, 18+1 parties, and they begin to struggle. But they are used to PDP, they are used to APC. So they can actually go directly and touch on those ballot, on those positions on the ballot paper. But now, when they were talking about coalition registering another party, a lot of people didn't know the reason behind the ADA that they proposed. It's because that any political party that comes before APC actually has a very big advantage. And when you are educating the people, it gives them a very an easy task to be able to educate the people. When Labour Party was becoming a bit problematic, people in Labour Party were looking towards the direction of Zenith Labour. Why is that? Because the strategy is that when you hand the ballot paper to the voter, you can easily say it's the last party on the ballot paper. So registering political party is beyond, people don't know the strategy behind it. So, and if you look at the last election in Ondo State, last election in Ondo State quickly, you discover that APC actually campaigned the number of votes that ADC got. We now began to ask questions. We did see
you would understand that.
We did see this young man. We now got to know through research that it was actually majority of the votes cast for the party were meant for APC. So in terms of ballot strategy, fantastic decision. A term of political sacrifice on the part of the political party, I have never seen before. I have never seen that a whole executive, we agree that they have to collapse their structure. It's
but one person is not happy.
I have been a candidate of a party. This is why people don't know. I left being a candidate of the party to go and learn party management as a chairman. Ideally, you are not supposed to leave as a candidate of the party and go back to lead the party as a chairman. But candidacy in Nigeria does not have anything to do with the political party. You just come, the major decisions of the political party are made by the party, the party structure, which consists of the NEC, the SEC, and all of that. So when a candidate is coming out to say, and you begin to ask, what's your position? In fact, it's only about 2 political parties in Nigeria today that has a provision for the highest office holder in their party. For instance, in APC, if you are the highest political leader in the party, you are the leader of the party. In YPP, if you are the highest political office holder, you are the leader. The other political parties do not have that kind of arrangement for their members.
So should Mr. Ebe Kachukwu's concerns be discarded?
Dumebi Kachikwu.
Dumebi Kachikwu, thank you very much.
Okay, so it's concerned in terms of how politics is being run. You have to consider the feelings of every other person because one vote, they say one vote counts. So you don't want to lose any kind of vote. But when it comes to party management, structure, and administration, all those outbursts were at best is personal opinion.
Thank you for breaking
the
it down.
The Labour Party as well. Let's then talk about the Labour Party because you're saying it's the first time you're seeing a party collapsing the structure to accommodate a new structure. Yeah. The Labour Party has the Julius Abure-led faction of the Labour Party has given Peter Obi 48 hours to leave the party. Senator Nadine Usman-led committee said that he consulted with the party and he was given the blessings of the party. How do you foresee that?
So it will be highly irresponsible for Peter Obi to have picked the card of another party without resigning from where it's coming from. But the question is, has he picked the party card of ADC?
Well,
so in politics, before you pick another party's card, the first thing you do is to send in your letter of resignation. But what they had day before yesterday was mere identifying and unveiling the party. It's totally different from the fact that you were there. There were members of APC there who have actually not resigned their membership of the party. But before you take responsibly, before you take the card of another political party, you do your resignation letter from the world and inform them that you are no longer interested in continuing their party.
So you must first of all resign.
That's what is expected of you.
Before you go.
Before you move.
So in this case now, Peter Obi just visited and talked about the possibilities of things happening with the party. So it means if he goes back and needs to resign, then...
Yes, he has to send in resignation letter. Resignation letter does not take 1 minute to do. You can even send it online to the ward executive of your party, then you move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at another paper very quickly. Let's see what next we have with the front page. Very interesting story we can find as well on The Guardian there. Let's look at this one. APC convenes South-South Summit in Edo. Atiku flays Tinubu over Trump's snub of Nigeria. 2027, I love Nigeria. I love Nigeria. Other groups seek INEC registration as parties. Wike knocks opposition coalition as desperate power ploy defends Rivers peace moves. And then illusion of harmony when politicians unite in power pursuit sans governance. No, I didn't see that clearly. Senate begins public hearing on constitutional review in Lagos. And then NMA faults federal government's export of doctors, skilled workers to St. Lucia. Now that's the story we're going to look at. I don't know if you've heard of the story.
Yes.
President Bola Tinubu saying some doctors will have to be. The letter from the NMA said export, if I'm right, taking doctors to St. Lucia when we have a serious crisis here.
I think it's a guided kind of Japaism. Because
that's what Olive said.
Yes, so it's a guided kind of Japaism because if you leave the doctors as we have it in Nigeria now, they will personally japa. So the government is just looking for a way to benefit and guide their Japaism. Now, there's crisis in the health sector in Nigeria, considering our population and the inability of government over the years to have strategically planned for it. I gave out a solution the other time, and a lot of people didn't take it seriously. As we are now, it's going to get to a point that we have to rely on traditional doctors. Yes, and all of that. But that's the sad reality. In fact, if you go through, and I don't want to mention state because I don't want to paint any state black, but if you go through majority of our states in Nigeria today, go to their health facilities. When Dr. Olusegun Mimiko was the governor of Ondo State, for instance, he did what he called the Mother and Child Hospital. He's a medical doctor. He understood, he paid a particular attention to it. Before the man that took over power from him died, before he completed his tenure, his first tenure in office, all the Mother and Child Hospital, all of them have died. As completely, in fact, there was the one in Akure that people come from Benin Republic to have medical attention there. It was that fantastic. Before Akeredolu spent 3 years in office, the thing was dilapidated to the point that water was actually coming out of the roof. That's an example of how our health situation has been. With the number of political wards that we have in Nigeria, reasonably we expect that each political ward should at least have a functional primary health center. But that is not the case. But of course, we cannot continue to pay what we are paying. We cannot continue to pay attention to security the way we are paying attention to it, as if nothing is happening, and we expect these people who have an opportunity to japa, not to japa. So I think the government is just trying to guide the japaism and see how they can benefit from it.
Okay.
Tough one.
But you know, before you can export, the question as to your local consumption needs to be answered.
So that's where the problem is, because NMA is saying that if you're exporting them and you're paying 40 million naira, they are earning, the St. Lucia government pays the doctors 131 million naira. You're exporting, you're going to pay them 40 million naira, whereas the ones at home, you are paying them 11 million naira, the highest paid. per annum.
Yeah, so that tells you that this government, the mentality of government is to make more money. So they are just looking at every avenue to make more money.
Are they going to make more money? Because they are the ones that will be, they are the ones even paying, no. So the Nigerian government will be the one paying those doctors they're sending to St. Lucia. They're paying them 40 million naira per annum.
They won't tell you the bilateral benefits that are in it. They will come out to say, oh, this is what we are doing. Of course, the government will not just,
equation.
Yes, there must be bilateral benefit in it. But most importantly, I have said it again, and I'm going to say it, the brilliant Nigerians today who want to gain admission to study medicine, but because of the capacity of some of these universities, they are unable to take all of them. In fact, there's a private university now that's trying to cut down the number of nursing students. They are already in 200 level. They want to cut it down because they do not have the capacity to accommodate that kind of number. So what I'm thinking is that deliberate investment of government should go into the medical field, and you make it compulsory for any graduate to practice in Nigeria for a period of 5-6 years before they go abroad. By the time you do this, you see that your universities will churn out more medical practitioners, and as a matter of fact, they have to stay in the country and work for a period of time before they are exported.
They say it's not fair. I mean, if you talk to the doctors, they say they don't apply the same to engineers, journalists, and what have you.
And that's
why are you picking on doctors?
And that's why I'm saying particularly that they must crash the amount of money that people are paying to get medical education. So it's like an investment of government deliberately into this area.
Well, let's use the word that's used, subsidize.
Subsidize. So when you subsidize, the way to pay back is for them to remain in the country and actually work for a period of time. See, all of these things work in the private sector. If you want to travel abroad to study, you want to get an MBA, and you want your organization to sponsor you, you have to write a letter that when you come back, you're going to work with them for a period of 3 to 5 years. And that will be binding. They will sponsor you. That's what we expect the government to do. It's going to be like a 10 years plan, but after that plan, you know, we are not controlling our child birth process in Nigeria. So that's why we need more medical doctors. I was telling some group of people, we got independent as a people of 50 million. We were 50 million people. 10 years later, is it 10 or 20 years later, as at early 80s, we were just a people between 70 and 75 million. How we move from 70 million to the number we are in today without the adequate infrastructure to take care of us is the question I'm yet to be able to answer. Yes.
Okay. We've run out of time. There's so many other stories here on the front page, but it would seem that the coalition is the biggest story. And in the next week, I'm sure that there will be new developments. We'll probably see more people moving to the coalition and more people slamming the coalition like we've seen.
I don't want the arrogance of government to actually becloud them of what can actually come out of the coalition. Because the truth is that the unpopularity of the government, and it's not a subject of a performance, it's a subject of perception. Of this unpopularity that we have now is becoming louder by the day. And once your unpopularity becomes this loud, then the people are looking for a way out of the situation. So it may not be because of the excellence of the new political party.
The people, they've gone through political education and they know, okay, we don't like this government, but we're not just going to accept anything because the government is not popular.
I'm not sure they've actually gone through that kind of education. I am actually not sure.
From Jonathan Buhari.
See, to measure the word learning, you have to look at what happened in 2019. The fact that former President Buhari could still get that kind of vote and got re-elected in 2019 means that we still have a lot to do in educating the people to be able to choose right.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dr. John, for being here, and always excellent analysis any day, anytime. And it's a pleasure. We look forward to see you again next week.
Yeah.
That does it on the front pages. I bet you're wondering why we had to take the front pages at this time, but don't worry, don't fret, because we have another very important conversation coming up very soon. Stay with us after the break. Let's bring to you headlines.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Borough. We begin with health matters, where the Nigerian Medical Association has criticized the federal government's decision to deploy Nigerian doctors to St. Lucia under a technical manpower assistance agreement, calling it inexcusable amid worsening conditions for medical professionals at home. The NMA highlighted poor remuneration, unpaid allowances, hazardous working environments, and delayed payments as ongoing issues, causing burnout and mass immigration of doctors within Nigeria. The association condemned the government for paying doctors deployed abroad significantly more, 40.8 million naira annually, compared to 11.9 million for those working domestically, while St. Lucian doctors earn up to 131.7 million annually. The NMA warned that this policy encourages brain drain, worsens public health outcomes, and undermines doctors' welfare and professional dignity in Nigeria. The wife of Nigeria's President Oluremi Tinubu has donated 1 billion naira and 1,800 bags of rice to victims of violence in parts of Plateau State. The donation was made during a special town hall meeting in Jos, the capital of the state, as part of a renewed hope initiative aimed at supporting survivors, mostly women and children, to rebuild their lives. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe reports that this marks the First Lady's second visit to the state since her husband assumed office, underscoring her commitment to bringing relief and hope to communities affected by conflict.
That's why I came to just appeal to you. Whatever it takes, bring peace to this land. We women don't fight. Women, do you fight? No. Do you carry arms? No. So we came here to appeal to the men. Do something to protect us. They want to farm. Do whatever it takes. I see a lot of older people here. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
I therefore want to thank you for this very generous donation. And I want to take full responsibility that no kobo will be misused. I want to pledge on behalf of the leaders of Plateau that we will not hold back. We will pursue peace with all men until God brings us a relief.
A lot of women have been displaced. We want women cooperatives to have farmlands. We plead with the governor, together with you and the security agencies, to map out these displaced areas for women to farm.
More on security. The Defense Headquarters says troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces arrested over 1,100 suspected terrorists in various operations in the second quarter of 2025. At a media briefing in Abuja, Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kanye, revealed that 1,191 suspects were apprehended across multiple theaters of operation. He also announced that 543 kidnapped victims were rescued within the same period, while 682 terrorists and their family members surrendered to the military.
The quarter also witnessed mass surrender of Boko Haram and ISWAP/just terrorists due to troops' overwhelming firepower. For instance, our troops killed several terrorist kingpins and their foot soldiers, arrested over 1,191 of them, and rescued about 543 kidnapped victims. During the quarter also, about 682 terrorists and their families surrendered to our troops. Among the terrorists eliminated were dreaded Amir Abu Fatima, Kingpin Auta, Abdul Jamilu, Salisu Malam, Jida, Maiwada, and Maidada, as well as Uwanchi Eze, otherwise known as Onu. And just 2 days ago, a bandit kingpin, Yolo Dambokolo, succumbed to injuries sustained during an encounter with our troops the previous week, where many of his lieutenants were also eliminated. Additionally,
in the meantime, the House of Representatives is calling for the immediate establishment of a permanent military base in the Madaga-Michika axis of Adamawa State, following renewed attacks by armed assailants that left several people dead and many abducted. The resolution was passed during Thursday's plenary, where lawmakers expressed deep concern over persistent security breaches in the area. The House also called for an investigation into the continued violence in the Northeast and urged the National Emergency Management Agencies to provide urgent humanitarian assistance to displaced residents. A joint committee has been mandated to submit findings within 2 weeks. The Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sent a delegation to commiserate with the Kano State government. Now, talking politics, I beg your pardon, the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sent a delegation to commiserate with the Kano State government over the demise of Alhaji Aminu Dantata. The elder statesman Aminu Dantata, the Vice President Kashim Shettima, who led the delegation, prayed for the deceased and for the Almighty Allah to forgive his shortcomings. Kano Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf received the delegation headed by the Vice President from the airport to the home at Koki, and after the condolences, he escorted them to the airport. Shettima urged the family to remain united and not allow material wealth to sow division among them.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, this week made a bold move as its entire National Executive Committee stepped down to make way for what they call a coalition leadership structure. The goal, they say, to build a united front ahead of the 2027 elections.
But not everyone's clapping, as the presidency has fired back, calling the coalition a regressive alliance that will, quote, drag Nigerians backward. Strong words, you will see. And so this morning we're asking, is this coalition truly a bold move by the opposition leaders adopting new leaders into its fold, or is it a misstep? Joining us for this discussion is a former Minister of Youth and Sports, former National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and now the newly appointed National Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
All right. Congratulations first on your recent nomination or your new position. But the coalition has gathered so much reactions, positive, negative, and if you've been following the show today, I'm sure you would have seen a number of the negative reactions, the backlash that it's received. I think the question that we're asking is, why should Nigerians trust this coalition that, you know, the way it started is quite interesting. It began with the resignation of an entire party leadership. And there are those who would argue that it's just the same people who have been at different helms of affairs when it comes to political leadership that have all come together. Like, it's not really about Nigerians, but it's more about the desire to kick President Tinubu out of office, which is something that has happened before. Remember when they all came together, anybody but Jonathan. We've seen this happen over and over again. How is this coalition different from the ones we've seen in time past?
Well, those are very, very strong questions. I mean, for us, we know that Nigeria is a state where the majority of Nigerians have become more or less cynical. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we know we're going to face. Nigerians will say, oh, we've seen all this before, there's nothing new. But this is different, this is new. Because as majority of Nigerians, we acknowledge we are probably faced with the worst existential challenges that this country has ever faced in the last 1.5 years, 2 years now. And how do I mean it? When you say whether Nigerians should trust ADC, the most important consideration that we have is that what is the reality for most Nigerians now? What is the reality? We are paying more now for electricity than we have ever paid. We are paying now more for fuel than we have ever paid. We are paying now for everything more than we have ever paid. And then the value of the naira that seems to be increasing, that increasing in volume every day, the value seems to be crashing. Astronomical. If you hold 100,000 naira now, it's like 10,000 naira. And for the majority of Nigerians that are clamoring for minimum wage, and most states now are obliged to pay 70,000 naira, the minimum wage. What is 70,000 naira? By the time the family of 3 or 4 descend on 70,000 naira for a week, it is gone. And these are direct results of policies that the government has taken. I mean, yes, there has always been issues of poverty, there have always been issues of living conditions and all that. But this administration took deliberate policies that led to this, led directly to this outcome. And when this government came, decisions it took, in economic terms, these were the direct outcome, and that is one of them. And therefore, and in political terms, if you look at it, this is probably the first time that we are experiencing the kind of politics that is going on now, where the government has hands in contriving this, in destabilizing almost all the entire political opposition parties, whether it's the PDP or the Labour Party or the NNPC or SDP. The government had made it a policy to deliberately destroy these opposition parties so that by 2027, the APC will be the only party in a position to produce a presidential candidate. Right? This is a serious threat to our democracy. The last time we experienced this kind of thing was during Abacha's military administration, where 5 political, what Bola famously referred to as 5 fingers of a leper's hand, where all 5 political parties, except one maybe, unanimously adopted General Abacha as their presidential candidate. That is the direction we are heading. So that's part of what inspired this coalition. So in a way, it is the condition that this APC administration has created that have made this coalition necessary. Because the flip side of that is to roll over and say, we are not going to do anything about this, and we allow Nigeria to sink into this civilian dictatorship. Now to the second question, the second level of your question, which is, it's the same people and all that. Yes, I like to say that, it's the same people. But politics is played by politicians. If we didn't get it right in the past, who says we cannot get it right now? And are we going to now roll over and say, okay, because we tried in the past, we are not going to try again? Or where will we get the people that run the system? Are we going to manufacture a new set of angels from somewhere that, or are we going to bring foreigners to come around Nigeria? It's the same people, it's the politicians that play politics. So the important thing is that we now have to commit ourselves to something, because we see where the kind of politics we've played in the past, where it has led our country, where it has led our people. So we're now saying, let us give ourselves an opportunity, a fresh opportunity, to commit to certain standards of behavior, because what is clear, and that is the principle driving ADC, is that this is the last opportunity for Nigeria. This is the last opportunity for Nigerian politicians. It's no longer a thing of trying to introduce yourself as a politician in Nigeria. So we recognize that. So, and for some of us, if people are doing politics a bad thing, some of us are in need to make politics a good name. Can we do things differently? Can we set standards that everybody must abide by? Can we set principles of good behavior? I mean, it has happened before in this country. In the Second Republic, like you had the UPN, everybody knew what UPN stood for. And even the worst UPN governor knows that the least you could do is to guarantee free education. So where are those? Where we have done it in our history. So why can't we replicate it? And that is why ADC is deliberately put together to set a new paradigm in Nigerian politics. Yes, you say the same actors, but even the same old actors can abide by new behavior and new standards. When there are no rules, people misbehave. When you elect people on a platform of a political party, and those people immediately become big men and bigger than the party. So what do you expect? So from the get-go, we are saying that ADC will be a party where members will be supreme, where the party will be supreme, where every elected officials on the platform of the party will have to abide by basic minimum standards of good behavior and ascribe to the party principles and philosophy. So it's the opportunity that we see that is exciting us, and that's making us believe that this is the party that will rescue Nigeria from what we have seen in the last 2 years.
Now, you've admitted that, the old faces that have come together, and as a matter of political expediency, that you have to form this coalition, looking at the current situation in the country. And you also said that this coalition is quite different from what we've seen in the past. But what guarantees can you give Nigerians that this isn't just an elect pact with no grassroots legitimacy? What guarantees do you have to tell Nigerians that, look, this is different, and forget all those people that we are familiar with, this time around things will be different?
Okay, we are moving quite quickly down the line, but I can assure you that one of the core principles of ADC is that this party will nurture the next generation of Nigerian politicians. We are going to provide a framework for the emergence of the successor generation of Nigerian politicians. I'm relatively, I'm 56, but there are people there in their 70s, people there in their 80s, and people who are much even younger than myself, people in their 60s, right? So, but the majority of the Nigerian population today are below 35. So the ADC is conscious that we have a historic duty and responsibility to nurture the successor generation of Nigerian politicians. But if we must do this, we must groom them within the parameters of good behavior that of playing a particular kind of politics that can deliver good outcomes for the right outcomes for the people. Because the purpose of serving politics, if you look at it, many young people today don't even know the purpose of politics. They seem to think that politics is for the purpose of benefiting themselves and because of what they see around. So ADC is committed for changing this culture, for changing this perspective, and grooming the next generation of Nigerian politicians who understand that politics is for the purpose of service and politics is for the purpose of development and growth of the country. So we have ambitious plans, we have big dreams, and we are committed to driving it. So it's not just about 2027. It's about confronting the very existential challenges that Nigeria is faced with. And if you look at, if we don't do something about this as we progress, look at what is going on now. Next week, Wednesday, 5 African countries are going to meet with President Donald Trump. He invited 5 African countries. For many years, like we in the development sector, I'm in the development sector, have continued to argue that Africa does not want to be engaged on the basis of aid, that Africa wants to engage on the basis of trade. And we have a president in the United States today that gets it, that says, look, Africa will be engaged with as trade partners rather than as charity charity receivers. And the first time that president will be inviting African countries. They invited 5 African countries: Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, I don't know, Senegal, and one other country. Nigeria is not one of them. Nigeria is the most populous country on the African continent, the biggest country of the black race is missing. That shows how Nigeria has declined. So when we are talking about rescuing Nigeria, it's not just about President Bola Tinubu. I mean, we like to say, they want to get President Bola Tinubu out. Yeah, maybe that is the consequence of what we are trying to do. But it goes beyond getting President Bola Tinubu out. It's about rescuing Nigeria and restoring Nigeria to its right place and its right position. It's embarrassing to see what is happening to this country today. You know, look at the insecurity. My state, Kwara State, used to be one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria. We call it the state of harmony. But in the last couple of months, our state has been invaded by bandits and people have been killed at will. That if that is not a reason to challenge this government, what other reasons can we have? You know, so these are the driving principles of ADC. Now, do you have the right to be cynical and to say, oh, it's the same? Because of course, you have the right to be cynical. But what we are saying that the task of nation building is never done. We have to continue to try and pass the baton to the next generation. But we are committed at this time that we are here to begin to play by different rules, to begin to set standards of good behavior for our politicians, for people who will be elected on the platform of our party, and to do Nigeria every day.
All right. Honorable, there's a lot of talks about the age bracket of the politicians who are in ADC. 70% of Nigeria's population, we do know, tilts towards the youth. And what we saw during the unveiling, there were barely youths represented. It seemed like it's much more of a recycling of the same political faces. We'd like you to talk on that. Coincidentally, you were former Minister of Youth and Sports as well. So it's quite different to see that now that you're moving towards the political party that is touted to free Nigerians from the shackles of enslavement, or slavery rather, you would think that ordinarily the youth will also be carried along. So the youth were not seen on Tuesday. Secondly, we'd also like you to address this issue. The current party has said that the group or the gang that make up the ADC are just people or persons who are aggrieved and angry. So they just want to take out their anger to ensure that they show it in public by hiding under the guise of a new political party that will release or free Nigerians. So how do you respond to this? First, the youth, and then secondly, aggrieved members of the former political parties.
Well, thank you very much. You know, in every political gathering, there are obviously arrangements and all that. So the camera captured only the so-called recycled politicians. You know, when there are hundreds of youth, thousands of youth in that regard, many of them are on the balcony or stage, many of them are outside. The place was jam-packed because if you know, that was not the original venue of the meeting. And that speaks to the issue of intolerance of this government opposition, right? Our original venue for the meeting was a hotel in Abuja here that gives space, that gives us enough space, you know, for everybody. But last minute, after we have booked the hotel for more than 2 weeks, last minute, less than 24 hours, the hotel called us to say, oh, they can no longer allow us to hold the event there. And police people were sent there to take over the place. So, I mean, if PDP of President Jonathan had done this, would this APC have been in power? You know, so this is the thing, the deliberate
No. Seems there's a network issue. We're hoping that we can reconnect.
A coalition of opposition parties, you know, to ensure that 2027 is breathing. So we had the meeting, the Advance Center at the last meeting. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I that we had to improvise quickly and move to this the Adwa Center where we had the event, because that was not the original venue. But I can assure you, the ADC is deliberate about youth inclusion, and you are going to see in the coming days. It's one of the grand principles of ADC. Like you said, many of us, we are, even someone like me, in relative terms younger than me, some of the people you see there, this is about the last opportunity we have, right? So if you had another 8 years to my age, I would be getting close to 70. So we are deliberate about youth inclusion. We know that whether we like it or not, politics does not take us out, biology will take us out. So we need to prepare for the next generation, because we know the task that we set for ourselves is a task that will have to go across generations. We will be proud to see that 10, 20 years from now, the parents will be in a position to hand over our membership card to their children to say, this is the party that we belong to. In our family, this is our party. That is done in some countries of the world. So we are hoping that we are laying the necessary foundation for that. And you can't do that without youth inclusion, without including 75-80% population of your country. The demography of Nigeria defines the agenda for anyone. Anyone doing anything in this country that does not treat youth is wasting his time. No matter what you do, if you don't put youth first, you are not doing anything. So we are deliberate about this, and like you pointed out, I've been involved in youth development now for close to 15, 20 years. So I know this, and part of the reason that I'm excited about this project. So it goes beyond just seizing power, and that leads me to the second question to say, it's just aggrieved people. So people have different issues with themselves. It's politics, but if you say collectively as a people, collectively as politicians in ADC, we are driven only by grievance, that would be far-fetched. But the only common grievance that I know we have is that we are aggrieved that this administration has destroyed all the opposition political parties and created a condition for civilian dictatorship. We are agreed that the National Assembly has become the cheerleaders of the executive against the principle of separation of power and checks and balances instituted in our Constitution. We are agreed that majority of Nigerians today cannot even guarantee where their next meal will come from. Some years back, when people call you, just a few years back, when people call you to seek for help, they are asking you to help them to finish their house or to buy their car or something. But today, fully grown men with family, when they call you, is to beg for money to feed their family. It has never happened before. So this is the reason we are aggrieved. We are aggrieved that people will sleep in their homes and they will be murdered, their children will be raped and returned in the morning. We are aggrieved. We are aggrieved that our president will go to Benue and call what is happening in Benue communal clash. We are aggrieved that that African countries, small African countries, put their population together. They are not up to Nigeria. We will be invited to the biggest commercial stage in the world, and Nigeria will be missing. Our president will be going to St. Lucia, a population of 180,000 people that don't even up to Ibadan. We are aggrieved. So this is the common grievance that we have. If you call us aggrieved politicians as a result of that, we accept. We are aggrieved. All right.
Still speaking about being aggrieved, another person who is aggrieved is Dumebi Kachiku, who has said that those who have become members of your party came in through the back door. Would you like to address this?
I don't know the geography of the house that is describing. I don't know where the back door or front door is. But what you need to know, because we journalists also have a way of promoting village bullies and making them look like heavyweight champions. That's because Dumebi Kachiku was just a candidate of ADC, was just a presidential candidate of ADC. Where does a candidate take over the workings of the party? In that hall that day, the national chairman of ADC was there, the national secretary was there, the BOT chairman was there. All members of the NEC were there. Many stated, what's the backup? This process has taken over 18 months because we know if we don't dot all the I's and cross all the T's, the same subversion that has happened to all other political parties will happen to us. So we are ready. We are on solid legal footing as far as ADC is concerned. And that's why it took a long time to arrive at ADC. So if DPP is now being inspired from the background to come and be the agent of destabilization by people who don't know what we have done, that we have covered our ground, then good luck to him. But don't forget that DPP was just a presidential candidate of ADC. A candidate is not a party official. He's not in a position to know what is happening in the party and the workings of the party. And this individual has been expelled from the party even before we came in. So on what basis is it coming out now to say that we came into the roof or the rafters? So for me, I think these are the questions that we will also need to investigate as journalists to say, look, what is the basis for this guy's claim? And not just listen to his platitudes and continue to circulate it. One journalist was asking us about the faction in ADC. The faction? What's a faction?
Let's move.
Came up by talking about. I say, where is the faction?
Let's move the conversation away from Dumebi because let's move the conversation away from him. He's not the only aggrieved person. Earlier today, we had Arabambi from the Labour Party. What we've seen is he and Julius Abure let him have given Peter Obi 24 to 48 hours to leave the Labour Party, to resign from the party. So the question I'm asking is, are we going to see, or is the ADC going to mandate that its members officially resign from their parties? Or do you think that there's a way that all these parties will work together in such a way that the members of the ADC can still remain primary members of their own political parties, of their previous political parties?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. You called Kim and interrupted.
All right, I'll take it again. I'll say that a number of party officials have complained about the fact that their political party members have moved to the ADC and have called for the resignation of their party members. One of such is the Julius Abure-led Labour Party. They have given Peter Obi 48 hours to officially resign from the party so he can be a member of the ADC. Now the question is the ADC going to mandate that those who are a part or members of the ADC officially resign from their primary political parties, or is there a way wherein these members can be people who are a part of the ADC, but also a part of their primary political or their earlier political party? Are you here with us, sir?
That's a very interesting question because, yes, I'm here with you.
All right, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. There are two sides to this question. I mean, I'm not going to address the internal issues in the Labour Party. It's a continuing manifestation of the kind of destabilization that I've alluded to earlier, and you will see similar things in the coming days. Because when we started ADC, they said dead on arrival. Now they realize that it's not dead on arrival, and they are retooling for the purpose of doing what they know, what they have been doing in the last 2 years. Now, to address the specific issue of labor, and that applies also to SDP, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. What is clear is that they are with us in this coalition, but they have not left their party. And they asked us to give them time to tidy up what they were doing in their party. And what are they doing? They have followers and members of their party who have brought forms to contest by elections and a particular governorship election in their parties. Those cannot now turn around and change their application forms and start afresh on campaigning on the basis of ADC. So we grant them those leave, continue doing what you are doing until when you are finished with your election, then you formally pick up membership card. But they appeared with us in public to show that they are fully part of this coalition. You know, and that's what I said earlier, that what we are putting together here is different from, there is a tendency to think that this is the same as what happened in 2015. No. What happened in 2015 was different parties coming together to form a merger. But what you have is a coalition of politicians who believe that Nigerians need to move in different direction. And now you see that in that room that day, you see so many members of the APC, you see so many members of PDP, so many members of Labour Party and SDP and other parties as well. So the idea is that everybody who is a Nigerian, who believes that the country is being moved in the wrong direction, need to come together and form a formidable force and ahead of 2027. So 2027.
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you. 2027, what's happening in 2027?
Okay. Seems this little...
someone keeps... Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that as respect to Labour Party, Peter Obi is still a member of the Labour Party until the time he picks up his membership card of the ATC. Just like Nyesom Wike is a member of PDP and is the one receiving defections into APC. You know, so that is those that. But for Peter Obi, on a serious note, for Peter Obi and Nasiru El-Rufai is to allow their members to contest elections that are upcoming. Then they can fully join the ADC. But they are members of they have identified with the coalition. They are part of the coalition.
Now, quite a lot of observers are wondering how the ADC is going to choose its presidential flag bearer in 2027, judging by the fact that you have political juggernauts, heavyweights that are now part of your fold. Would it be a consensus candidate? Would you go through a national convention? And what are the guarantees that some of these people will not leave if they're not the chosen ones? How do you respond to that?
Well, in politics, you cannot guarantee how people will behave. But what we can guarantee is that ADC will provide a level playing ground for everyone and will ensure that every member of the ADC that desires to contest election will play by the rules. We are going to ensure that everybody who aspires, if you look in that room that day, if you want 100 potential presidential candidates, you will get it in that room that day. Now, so we are not going to ask anyone not to aspire. We are not going to ask anyone to surrender their ambition. But when the time comes, there will be clear guidelines and clear rules, and everyone will be treated fairly and equally. Like our chairman said, we are not going to favor anyone above another, because these are the seats. This is how you create internal crisis within a political party when you think a system is skewed against one person in favor of another. So people saying that our coalition is predetermined to foist a particular candidate on Nigerians, they are far from the truth.
Will there be any zoning?
Ensure that there is an open.
Will there be any zoning arrangements? Going by the fact that the current president has spent he's going to spend a 4-year term, and then there's this gentlemanly unwritten agreement that power should move from the south to the north after 8 years. So will the ADC be zoning the presidential candidacy to the south of Nigeria, or will be open to everyone?
You see, let me emphasize that, and let me make it clear. This question you're asking has not come up in ADC. I've attended every single meeting since the beginning. There's nowhere where conversation about where the presidential candidate will come from, who will be the presidential candidate. All those you read sometimes in the media saying that somebody is being asked to be running mate to someone is not true. What we are concerned and preoccupied with at this time is how to build our party into a formidable opposition that will give Nigerians options. If we arrive at 2027, we want to give Nigerians the opportunity to look at APC and ask themselves, has APC served us well? And do they deserve another opportunity? If they have not, we want them to be able to look around and find an alternative that they can turn to. And that's what this government didn't want. They didn't want, they didn't want, that was right, yeah. They didn't want Nigerians to have options. So our immediate responsibility is to build a formidable political party that is able to give Nigeria alternative, that is able to address the existential challenges that Nigeria face, that is able to rescue Nigeria. So the issue of who plays what role will be determined down the line, but it's not the priority of ADC at this time. When that time comes, I will come back here and talk to you.
Okay. All right. I mean, just to step out of the ADC and the political conversations just for a little bit as we look forward to wrap up this conversation now. You were former Minister of Youth and Sports, and just yesterday we lost one of our very own, the late Peter Obi. How did you feel when you heard the information of his demise?
Yesterday was a particularly sad day. Earlier we had the death of Diego Jota, the Liverpool player.
Absolutely.
Like, how can such a young, fine man die in such a tragic manner? Then the afternoon, we had the one that even hit so close and intimately. That's of the death of Peter Obi. Really very painful, and for me personally, who I've had opportunity to interact with him during my time as sports minister, I felt really sad, because this is one of the most patriotic Nigerians. Sometimes we tend to look for patriotism only in politics, but patriotism can be found in many fields of human endeavor. And I can tell you, some of these sportsmen who are among most of the patriotic Nigerians you could find. So it's quite sad. I pray for the repose of his soul. I pray for his family. I hope that our government will be able to immortalize him and keep his memory alive. Great Nigerian, great hero.
A very great one indeed. Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We certainly look forward to having you again as we get progress reports from the ADC. But thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And all the best with your new position as well as the party.
We need it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we've come to the end of today's show. Thank you for joining us. Breakfast Extra continues over the course of the weekend. It's been quite a number of interesting and insightful conversations that we've had today.
It's been a busy week for us.
Very busy
Very
week.
busy.
I think the coalition actually made it a very busy week, not just for us, but for politicians.
It's big news.
It is.
Big news.
Even those who act like it didn't get to that, everybody had to talk about
I really want to wonder if we'll be able to sustain this momentum. We're 1.5 years away. I mean 2 years from the next election.
1.5. I'll say
and we're already discussing it like it's happening in 2 months' time. Can we sustain this momentum?
You know, like
will
I
it
said
be
yesterday,
sustained? Because it's a lot of energy.
Like I said yesterday,
Nigeria
is becoming a politically driven society. It's like our everyday commerce. It's always been that way.
Yeah, it's always been.
But back then, if you recall, we had other things like, that's why we always had sports. If the Super Eagles, had to engage in a competition, we had the Olympics, we had this. And then again, don't forget that the Premier League is on recess. Same with the Bundesliga and the likes.
There's no reality TV show.
Yeah, the Club World Cup is ongoing, but people don't really...
No reality TV show, that big...
So everybody's attention is focused on, okay, what do we eat today? And Mama Emeka's opening the pot and he's telling the husband there's no meat. So the husband will just shout, "Hey!" Then government conversation. So it's like everyday conversation. And then again, like Olive said, the ADC's emergence had no other option than to fill up the news space.
Well, interestingly, so much is happening in the news today. Today is America's independence. And the 4th of July is going to be celebrated across many, especially our doctors and nurses who have jackpot and have gotten American citizenship. I wonder they'll probably be celebrated today. This is congratulations to America.
I think we want to appreciate all the doctors and nurses as we wrap up the show today. Please, whatever you see in the newspaper concerning St. Lucia, don't feel bad.
Is it possible for them not to feel bad?
We're saying that we appreciate them. I appreciate the doctor who takes time to check on me, on each and every one of us, every single person. We appreciate you, regardless. If nobody has told you that today, we're telling you we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're wrapping up the show. Thank you for joining us. Remember, Breakfast Extra continues over the course of the weekend. Tune in tomorrow and on Sunday to follow up with some of the biggest stories. I want to give a shout out to my auntie Calista Lumebe Okonta, happy birthday. Wishing you the most amazing year. And I just want to say that I love you, Auntie. Thank you.
Aww.
Yes. We'll see you again. Thank you for joining us. My name is Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Borough, and I just wanted to follow up with Joe to see if those greetings to the doctors apply to Dr. Zeh of Zeh Nation Portable and also Small Doctor. Are they included in that conversation?
I won't be shocked if I see him perform at St. Lucia.
And does this greeting to the doctor, does it also include the honorary doctors that have gotten degree from
Cotonou?
Yes.
Let them go there.
Enough of the shots fired. Let's get out of the studio.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.